ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, we have a rather packed news week, as we released last week, but we didn't really do any news last week, and then we missed the week before. So it's kind of like 3 or 4 weeks and packed into one. So I did my best to pick out the biggest news stories that we feel, or I felt at least. I guess it's subjective news list this week. Biggest news stories that I from the past few weeks. We'll get to the trailer talk this week as we have another Halo teaser we can kind of talk about, as well as some details on the release. The new to streaming list this week is a banger of a list to start off the new year. I'm very excited to get to that. It's one of the better lists we've had in a long time. We'll get to what we're watching, of course, and then our main review for the episode, The Matrix Resurrections, number 4 in the Matrix quadrilogy. But before we get to any of that, I'm joined today by Nathaniel Gingrich.
Hello. Noma.
I was kind of going for like what your guys' names would be if you guys were in the Matrix movies.
like a.
They all have those cool nicknames.
A hacker ass. I could go Nova. That's kind of like a.
Nova, that's a cool one.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I like stars and shit.
I'll change it. Let's redo that. Before we get to any of that, I'm joined today by Nova Nathaniel Gingrich.
Thank you.
Let's just call those mainframes.
Let's just call him Noah.
Yeah, there we go. I'm in. That was my
Back Row Banter. If Back Row Banter ever expands to the point where we're hiring more people and all that kind of thing, I don't know if we could ever hire a Noah. I feel like it'd just be
that's just what we call our interns.
There's too many jokes.
Too many Noahs involved.
Too many Noahs that are already a part of this show in other ways. It would be kind of hard.
You just got to make it the title. Like it's got to be an acronym for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Noahs of the pods.
Okay. Also joined today by Tuco Tyler Vidalis.
Toucan Sam.
I mean, I guess we had a Bugs. Is that a spoiler?
Yeah.
No, that's
Was there Bugs?
No, it's a character's name.
Yeah, it's a character's name.
Huh.
Based off, they reference Bugs Bunny.
They do.
So, Toucan Sam, is Toucan Sam the Fruit Loops mascot?
Yes.
That sounds right.
Yes. I believe that is correct.
You guys prefer Fruit Loops or Apple Jacks? I feel like those were always the two that were kind of pretty similar, but you had a side,
I was not an Apple Jacks kid, I'll tell you that much.
No. All right.
No.
So I loved Apple Jacks.
Like, yeah, I think like now I probably would be if you gave me the choice in my adult life. But yeah, I was Fruit Loops all the way back then.
Were you? Okay. Through and through. Blake, do you have a preference?
I need cereal, man.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot you're a picky eater. You don't eat any cereal.
So, I mean, I would sometimes, but I don't really drink milk, so I would only eat cereal like out of a cup, like what I mean.
Sure.
And that would be the king of that is obviously Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Well, that's the king of milk, or that's the king of cereal in general.
A lot of people are
milk
high on that
milk.
for sure.
Milk or no milk, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the way to go.
Cinnamon Toast
Crunch.
No
milk, that's top tier. And then I was also big on Frosted Mini Wheats with no milk.
Yeah.
I could just snack on those all day. That was like my snack in like high school and middle school that I'd always pack. I'd always have like a Ziploc bag of those.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you what, either one of those with a little chocolate milk, you got yourself a nice dessert.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much sugar in all cereal that any cereal should be a dessert, but instead we eat it for breakfast because welcome to America.
It's part of a balanced diet, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
You ever notice that when they were like, part of your morning diet, and then there's like an orange and like actual food around it in the commercials?
It's like, which of these am I eating for breakfast? I don't eat all of them.
Yeah, I barely ever eat breakfast.
I was never a breakfast kid either.
I'm always shocked when people say that because if I don't eat breakfast, I'm a wreck until I get something in my body.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
I can't focus. I can't do anything.
No. I'm better without it.
I'm tired. Really?
Yeah. Even if it's like, I'll even do like a granola bar, or something. Like I have to just eat something. It doesn't necessarily have to be a meal.
Exactly. I'll grab like if I'm late to class in the morning, I just grab a Cliff Bar and eat it on the walk there.
For sure,
You just got to get something in the body.
I'm with you, dude. That's
or else
how
I
eat
just
breakfast every day.
I am just useless. I can't focus on anything but trying to think about food.
I need a shower to wake me up. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that works too.
Yeah, it does. Rounding out the squadron, of course, that sultry voice over there. It's Big Brits BlakeHolder.
Hey, what up? What up?
How you doing, man?
Good. How did you come across that name?
Brits? I just thought of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know. There's no meaning behind it.
Yeah, no, I don't know either, but I'm cool with it.
It began with a B, continued the alliteration that we're looking for, and we're rocking with it.
Could be Blitz, I suppose.
I was gonna say I immediately thought of Blitz because of the football game.
We can do Blitz. We should be and rounding out the squadron. That sultry voice over there. It's Big Blitz BlakeHolder.
Adam, have you ever played Blitz?
Which one
was that like N64?
Blitz.
Yeah, those are old.
Gotta be around that time.
Super old. Yeah.
They're fucking awesome though.
NFL Blitz.
I remember playing NFL Street. Was that what it's called?
I mean,
that
was
NFL
like
Street,
that was way after though.
Yeah.
Kind of the same essence, I guess.
I don't think I played Blitz.
Blitz
is much more like a cross between Street and like Madden, where they're playing in stadiums. I loved NFL Street.
Yeah, Blitz was
NFL
like
Street was fun.
N64, and like they might even been like an arcade game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It definitely was.
Play that on. Yeah.
But NFL Street, what a game! I loved NFL Street.
Yeah, NBA Street as well. NBA
Street, yeah. That was like a what was that backyard? Was it backyard baseball? They had backyard baseball, backyard football.
Yeah.
That was like better.
I think that's the golden era of video games, man. Like
that is
2007 through like 2013 window.
Yeah. I don't think any of us realized how good we had it.
No way, dude.
Like where we are is cool with crossplay and everything, but those games, they'll never be the same. Gaming will never be the same as that time. Oh man.
Also, there was just something to be said about getting mad at a game and like getting yourself better versus just trying to have to overcome people that are cheating.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cheating or at this point in time, if you were good at a game, it was like respect. But at this point in time, it's like there are people that it's their career to be good at that game, and so you want to play against them or they're streaming. Like it's so much harder to be good at video games now. Back in the day, it was like you and on a split screen in your basement, you and your friend, and you just beat the shit out of them. You felt like a god.
For sure,
man. Those were the days. Anyway, we have a lot to get into, guys. So let's quit the intro banter and get into the news here. Our first news story of the day. Universal movies could hit Peacock as early as 45 days after theatrical release. So Universal and Peacock, they're kind of joining in on the streaming service trend of streaming all of their movies that release in theaters 45 days after they debut, which is, like we have said before, is coming the new standard, which is kind of interesting to see because that's obviously something that's never been kind of seen before, is having a movie released so soon after its theatrical release and how that changes people's decision-making process of whether they're going to go to the theater, maybe wait for it to come to streaming service, maybe deciding what streaming services they're going to get based on what movies each kind of streaming service is getting released, what new movies each streaming service is getting. So Peacock and Universal will be adding on to that trend that makes Peacock, Paramount Plus, HBO Max, and Disney Plus. It looks like all of them are going to do that 45-day window for their movies this upcoming year.
All right. Well, that'll be interesting.
We've talked about it before, so there's not too much more to add as far as our thoughts on it. Obviously, it's kind of a big change. I mean, that's, like I said, we've never seen something like that. Usually it's 4 months before the DVD is released and maybe another month after that for VOD.
Yeah, but it's just become so quick, the turnaround, all just in general.
Yeah,
because what were we? I think me and Nathaniel were talking about in the store last week. Where just like how long movies stay in theaters in general now.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you say? I mean, I thought you said like 40 days or something.
Yeah, 45 has just kind of become the standard. Yeah.
Is that what it used to be though? I feel like they used to be much longer.
Oh, it definitely was. Yeah.
You used to have to wait forever to get it on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there was a huge period in between it not being in theaters and it not being on, you know,
it was like 6
DVD
months.
or something like
usually
that.
like 6 months, I remember, because I Marvel movies and big blockbusters like that would always release April or May so that they could have the DVD release out for the holidays.
Yep.
That was kind of the scheduling there. But now, now it's like that's not a thing. And not only that, it's just like this has changed so fast. When we started this podcast in July of 2020, that was still the kind of the trend. And that wasn't really heard of to have movies coming out that quickly after release. And then a pandemic a year and a half later, here we are to feel like a completely different Hollywood release style and release schedule that I don't feel like we've fully seen the extent of like how this will affect theaters, how this will affect production, that kind of thing. I think we're just so early on in this. I'm interested to see what theaters do in response to this, because this is definitely going to affect some people's decisions to go out and watch a movie. If they can't see it in 6 months, maybe they'll go, but if they can see it in 45 days, why would I want to go? Now, if it's a movie that's getting iffy reviews and I'm already iffy about going to see it, and there's no one saying, hey, you need to go see this right now because it's that good, which there are movies still like that, and I think since this has become a trend, we've seen movies like say Spider-Man, where it's like you go to the theater now, go, and those things will still happen. But a lot of movies, like say the Matrix movie, the movie we're reviewing today, we'll see what we have our thoughts on it. But overall, generally mixed reviews. Some people hate it, some people like it, some people say it's great. On a movie like that, are you going to go to the theater, or are you going to go watch it on HBO Max, where it's launched at the same time? Or now next year, looking at HBO Max and all these other streaming services, launched 45 days later. That's definitely going to affect, I think, a lot of people's decisions on when they go to the theater, and that's obviously going to directly affect how much money those theaters are making.
Yeah, that was the exact point I was going to make too, and even the same comparison. It's just crazy that we've seen Spider-Man just become so quickly one of those giant juggernauts of a movie, and then again you have movies from Spielberg, established franchises like The Kingsman and Matrix, and those things aren't even getting a look in. Or Del Toro too, he's got a new movie out as well, and like no one's going to see him, but they'll show up for the Marvel, entity and nostalgia
conglomerate.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I just think that's a very distilled, clear snapshot of maybe what is to come in the future.
Yeah, it does worry me a little bit, because as you list off those other ones, you're right. Like there are so many. I feel like less people going out to theaters, and there are people like us who will still cherish that movie theater experience. But for the average person that isn't super into movies like we are, and they'll go to the theater occasionally or for the big blockbuster like Spider-Man, this is going to almost eliminate 90% of their theater going experiences, except for maybe the Marvel movies, except for the Spider-Man events. I think like that. Or
I think it may end up becoming almost like a play theater experience.
Sure.
You go once every 6 months or something like that, and you make maybe you pay $40 or $50 nowadays or something like that.
Yeah,
for something more.
It's more of an event rather than more of a casual thing. Has been in the past. But yeah, that's very true. That's a very interesting point. We'll have to see, because like I said, we are so early on in what this will affect that we really have no way to tell. So hopefully theaters can figure something out. But if I had to guess, we are going to see theaters slowly dwindle over the next decade or so from the effects of this. Moving on to our next news story here. One of those movies that can bring a lot of people to theaters is a Nolan movie. Now, Blake, we have talked about Nolan's next film, Oppenheimer, on here before. It's going to cover Dr. Oppenheimer, who led the Manhattan Project, the founding of the atomic bomb.
Wait. Eternals told me it was one of the black guys that they had in there that created the atomic bomb. I thought it was one of the 10 Eternals. You're saying it's some sort of scientific Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah. Now, Nathaniel, really quick here. If you watch to the end of the credits, as you probably did for the post-credit scene, you will see all events of this film are fictional and are not to be interpreted literally. I just put those at the end.
That is one of those crazy things that they were just like, yeah, here's our incredibly big cast, and we're going to have this guy who is the only... Well, they decided to make him the first gay character, too. And then they're like, oh, yeah, he also created the atomic bomb. And just killed everyone. Anyways, sorry. Random thought there. Back to what we were talking about.
Back to Blake. Blake, if you had to rate your excitement level for Oppenheimer as of right now on a scale of 1 to 10, what would it be? Nolan's next film.
I mean, based off the last Nolan film we've watched, I'd still probably go like 8.5.
8.5? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what if I told you Florence Pugh's in it?
How does that change your perspective? Yeah, I mean, I'd realistically probably push it to a 9.
Push it to a 9? All right, up half a point. Point here. Sure. So Florence Pugh, Rami Malek, and Benny Safdie are all the latest actors to be cast in Oppenheimer. So they are joining Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, and Cillian Murphy.
You know what?
Now that's a stacked lineup.
Yeah.
That's a stacked lineup. That is very exciting.
I can't imagine what Benny Safdie is going to take from working with Nolan, too. Like, you just talk about exciting directors that are coming up right now, and he's going to be on that set. That's crazy.
For those of you who don't remember, Benny Safdie directed Uncut Gems and Good Time.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, and he's starting Good Time as well. Did a good job there. So this won't be his first acting role. But yeah, I can't. He's been really good. So you're right. Working with Nolan, I can't wait to see what he kind of learns from him. And then on top of that, man, that is just such a stacked cast. I'm so excited with Nolan directing. Like, that is just going to be awesome.
Do you think there will be a weird time element in it?
I don't know.
Dude, he finds a way to put it in everything.
Probably.
Like, do you think, it'll be like the bomb, like the film opens and like the bomb is being dropped, and then like we'll reverse back in time to like a certain point, or like we'll go down to like the nuclear explosion, like on the molecular level, and then like each like chain reaction will get a flashback or something.
That's kind of where my mind went too, because even his other kind of historical film, Dunkirk, has a time element to it where you're watching. Yeah. You're watching 1 week, the span of 1 week condensed down to, however much time you're spending watching 1 day and then 1 hour. So even his other historical movies done it. And that's been a common theme through most of his movies. That's one of his, I would say style is not necessarily motif. I would say that's one of his common motifs throughout most of his movies. So I mean, I would have to imagine that some kind of time element is added in here.
You could be argued it's almost his exclusive motif in some ways. I'm a little bit concerned for Mr. Nolan at the moment. Now, he seems to be kind of focusing on a lot of tragic characters at the moment.
Really?
With kind of, Dunkirk being the kind of, big fuck up, and then, Interstellar with all its kind of machinations and everything. And Oppenheimer, his kind of big famous quote is the quote from a famous literary text that's like, "I've become Shiva, the god of death," after he created the atomic bomb, basically, and came to really regret what he had made and everything. So I'm a little worried about Nolan at the moment. He seems to be focusing quite often on the tragedy of man.
Yeah, we'll have to see how he handles it. I mean, you're quite right there. He's been handling a little bit more heavy characters, I would say. With
the way the world is now, maybe he's on the right track.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
You say Robert Downey Jr. is in this too? Is he playing Oppenheimer?
RDJ. No, so Cillian Murphy will be playing Oppenheimer.
Well, that's good too.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy will be doing Oppenheimer. Pugh will be Jean Tatlek, a member of the Communist Party of the United States, who has an on and off affair with Oppenheimer and was the cause of major security concerns for government officials. So that's going to be interesting kind of dynamic. Safdie will play Edward Teller, the Hungarian physicist who is known as the father of the hydrogen bomb and a member of the Manhattan Project, the U.S. research initiative that developed the first atomic bomb. It just says Malek is playing a scientist. That's all it says here in the story. And then Blunt will be Oppenheimer's wife, Catherine Kitty Oppenheimer, and Damon will be Lieutenant General Leslie Groves, the director of the Manhattan Project, and Downey is playing Louis Strauss, the infamous chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission who initiated hearings that questioned Oppenheimer's loyalty to the United States and famously had the scientist's security clearance revoked.
Interesting.
So you got a bit of a rundown on the casting there. It will be very interesting. I think that actually kind of gives you a little bit more insight of what this is kind of going to be about. Sounds like it's not necessarily the development of the actual bomb, but more the stigma or the events that happened around it kind of thing, not the actual development of it. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say?
I'm with you.
Sure.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm excited for this. The casting is still going on. It's currently set for a July 21st, 2023 release date. So we're a year and a half out. You're in 8 months or so.
Yeah,
which
quite
feels
some
soon.
time.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, feels soon compared to, because this just got announced 3 or 4 months ago, or less than 3 months ago, I would say. Or maybe it was a little bit more than that. I could be wrong there, but it's been what, September 2020 for Tenet, which finished production probably
early 2019. I feel like
early 2019. So I guess he hasn't really been doing that much. Maybe he's been working on this for a while, and once they started casting, they were ready to go right into production because he's had some time to figure all that kind of stuff out. So
Sure.
Nolan's films usually have, I feel like, a little bit longer of a turnaround time. But
yeah,
I'm
I feel like
glad
that's
as soon as possible.
I feel like that's kind of his normal pace, I'd say, at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty on
I
par.
mean, yeah, that'd be what, 3 years?
Yeah,
I would say so. Yeah, maybe
Should have been
it's not too
4
far
on
off.
paper if it wasn't for pandemic. So
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait to see what that turns out to be. We're also going to have to wait to see what John Wick Chapter 4 turns out to be, as that has been delayed a full year from May 27th, 2022, all the way to March 24th, 2023.
good.
And this film was originally set to premiere May 21st, 2021. So
Wow.
it has been officially delayed from its original release date of a full 2 years.
You'd think it'd like already be in the can at this point, then.
You'd think so.
I mean, genuinely, when I heard this news story, I was like, I swear to God, there's already been a 4th John Wick. Like, I thought the last one was the 4th one. And then,
well, it's been so long.
Who wants this though? Who wants a 4th one?
Oh, give me as many as possible.
Really? I mean, yeah, they're cool for sure. But like, I don't know. I just feel like eventually, like, cycles just have to like that now.
Oh,
like,
sure.
I've got everything I want out of John Wick. Great movie for sure. Great action. But it's like, I don't want to see a 4th one of these shits.
Okay, that's very fair. And I was being a little hyperbolic when I said give me as many as you can, because I think 4, and then I think they're filming 4 and 5 back to back, or at the same time.
That would be surprising.
I'm pretty sure I remember that being the story I read all the way back when they started production. So I'm assuming going to be John Wick 4 2023, and then John Wick 5 I think is supposed to be the final chapter. I would assume be 2024 sometime. Which I think is an apt ending there. I don't need much more than that. Like I said, I was being I was exaggerating a little bit when I said I'd love as many as possible. But I do love all three of the first trilogy. Like that has been very refreshing as far as action movie goes. But you're right, trends change, Hollywood changes, and I'm interested to see how this will change for the final 2 and how they decide to end it, and what kind of style they go with, if it's going to be consistent with the last 2 or if it's going to kind of change since. I mean, the last one was made in 2018 and released in 2019. I think even since then we've seen some slight changes in how films are made. When was the first one released? That's kind of what
the first John Wick.
It's like 2013.
I had to guess.
So 2014. Yeah, 2014. So it'll be a full 10 years.
3 is 17.
3 is
18.
3 is 19. So John Wick 1, 2014, wow. John Wick 2, 2017, John Wick 3, 2019. Because John Wick 2 John Wick 2 and 3, I remember having a pretty quick turnaround. Yeah. I was like, didn't they just make one of these?
Right.
And then they released another one. And so now it'll be 4 years between 3 and 4. And then, like I said, I'm assuming 2024 would be when the 5th one comes out. And that'll be a full 10 years from 1 to 5.
They might as well throw them in the fucking Fast and the Furious universe.
Oh man,
if they get to 5 films, why not?
You say that, and Keanu Reeves in the Fast and Furious would not feel out of place in any.
No, it wouldn't. It really wouldn't. And I would still fucking hate it. But
and I would still go see it. And I would still go.
Yeah,
see
I know.
It.
So
they have my money.
Unfortunately,
they know they do.
We are treading dangerous territory.
It would be a good movie, box office numbers wise.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure that'd be a hit.
Yeah, no, it would kill. So yeah, no word really on the fifth one, but this one's looking to come out. That's a year and 4 months away. That is just disappointing for me as like someone who really likes this series, and really likes Keanu Reeves, as we'll kind of get to later. Bit of sizzle, but I'm excited to see this. And they also released this announcement with a kind of teaser trailer. It's a teaser. I won't even call it a trailer. It has really nothing to do with anything from the movie. It's just kind of the control room, like the I don't forget what the term for it is, but the underground society control room kind of place where he gets excommunicated in the first one. That it's that, and then it ends with a blackboard saying March 24th or whatever it was. It's March 24th, 2023. It ends with a picture of the release date, basically. So, but still cool to see. I'm very excited for this one and the final one. And then our last news story of the day, Shang-Chi is getting a sequel from the same director, Destin Daniel Cretton. So I don't think anyone's really surprised here.
I personally am shocked.
Yeah.
Definitely saw that comment, but I think it'll be good. I do like Shang-Chi though. That's one of the better movies that we've seen.
Yeah.
As of late. So.
Who knows where in the timeline or how far out this is? I don't really know. I haven't looked at the Marvel timeline in a while to see how far out they have planned. I think till the end of 2023, if I had to guess.
I don't want to know about it anymore. I think I'm at that point.
I remember back in phase 2, phase 3, it was like, they just announced an Ant-Man movie. They announced Guardians 2. All that's like, it was really, really hyped. And at this point, we're reaching that saturation point. We're approaching that cliff.
Well, it's also like I just don't want to know anymore. Like I don't want to. It's kind of that like I just don't want to know anything. Going as blind as possible. I think at some point.
Yeah, fair.
All right.
Yeah, I mean it's a no-brainer for Marvel. It made 224.5 domestically.
That's not bad at all. Yeah,
431.9 globally
for 21 finances.
Yeah, for a new character, for an origin story like that. That's pretty good numbers, I would say.
And I did really like the direction
and pandemic release
in that.
Yeah, and it was really well directed. Yep.
So
I'm glad he's coming back. I remember listening to I think it was Directors Guild podcast. Have you listened to those, Nathaniel?
I have not.
Oh, it is. Let me see what it's called here, and maybe I can tip off any other listeners. Listen to our podcast every week first, but then you can go listen to theirs. I want to give a shout out to this podcast because my brother showed it to me. If I can find it here. Let me check Spotify really quick. I don't think it's on podcast. Director's Cut. It's called The Director's Cut. It's from the Directors Guild.
Oh.
They basically do, from what I can tell, most of these episodes, if not all of them, are directors sitting down and interviewing other directors after they've released their big film.
Oh, I think I might have seen clips of this before or something.
Yeah,
like
I'm sure you have. Their most recent one, which I haven't listened to yet, but definitely plan on listening to, is Damien Chazelle interviewing Steven Spielberg about West Side Story.
Oh, I'm sure that'll be fun.
And the ones I've listened to recently were it was Christopher Nolan interviewed Denny V on Dune, which was really cool.
Wow.
And then I listened to Phil Lord interviewed Edgar Wright about Last Night in Soho. Also, both those movies we watched. There are plenty of interviews on there. My brother turned me on to that about a month or so ago, so I listened to only a few, but it's really good. So he was on there. That was another one I listened to, actually. I forgot who interviewed him, but he was on there talking about Shang-Chi.
Oh,
so
fun.
They're really cool interviews. They're great.
Nice.
Yeah. So go ahead, check that out. But yeah, we'll be looking forward to Shang-Chi sequel, Legend of the 20 Rings. Sometime, who knows, in the future.
Is that really what it's called?
Who knows if we care? No, I was just
okay. I was gonna say.
I was just like 10 rings, 1, 20 rings, 2. That makes sense. Who knows if I'll care about Marvel in any capacity at that point in time? Probably a little bit, but man, I'm telling you, Nathaniel, I'm telling you guys, there's gonna be a stopping point. I don't know if I'm gonna hit it before everyone else, but I think everyone else is gonna hit it too. I don't think this is sustainable.
Yeah, I think I've hit the wall already, fellas.
Yeah, I can tell, Blake. Every time we're like, oh, let's do this, next Marvel movie, you're like, I probably wouldn't see it myself, but if we're watching it, we'll watch it.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, they're just so hard to not consume.
Sure.
Everyone does.
They're good. I mean, you don't want to watch it, but then
like
you sit down and watch it. Yeah, you're not having a bad time. You don't feel like you're wasting your time. It's not like I'm forcing you to sit down and I've got clamps on your eyes as you're watching Morpheus.
Right.
Like it's they're good movies.
For sure.
So it's hard to say no, but at a certain point, I just don't know if I want to say yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever get tired of them. I think, like you guys said, they are very consumable. Yeah. But I think the bigger issue is going to be you're oversaturating this market so much that I am going to be more critical of your stuff because you're giving it to me one right after another. So if I think one's dog shit, then that's kind of on you.
Yeah, that was the next point I was going to bring up is I feel like there could be, and I think they eventually will get to a point where they just need to balance it out a little bit more. Because right now we're just getting bombarded with show after show and movie after movie. And that's true of Marvel especially, but then DC is also releasing quite a bit of their own content now on HBO Max with the Peacemaker show coming up, and they've got several movies. Like between them all, like there just needs to be, they just need to slow it down, and I think they will eventually when they see their numbers dwindle and realize they can't push out 4 or 5 movies a year and 3 TV shows because not everyone's going to watch them. I think they'll start to realize they maybe need to shift their focus to other IPs, new IPs, hopefully. And eventually hopefully find some kind of middle ground where it's not just this hitting over the head of story after story that feels almost the exact same with just different characters put in there. So we'll see what happens with that as well, because I think that will start to change in this. We're almost in the new year. We're almost in the thick of the 20s, so I think we'll see that start to change in the next few years. All right, well, that's it for the news this week. Do you guys want to talk about this Halo teaser, or do you want to make it brief? I'll set a timer for us if we just want to keep cruising, because we are running a little bit long on time already. Halo TV show trailer. We got a bit of a further look. I remember we talked a few weeks ago about the original teaser they released. This is going to be kind of similar in vein. It's not super long, only about a minute long, but we do get some shots from the actual show and actual like characters and sets and everything. Still coming to Paramount Plus. I'm very excited. I love Halo. Have been playing nothing but Halo since it came out. And I just can't wait to watch the show. Master Chief looks great. The one thing that was interesting about this that I did want to bring up, actually, I saw somewhere that this is not going to be canon, actually. It's going to be its own story, similar to like a Star Wars Visions. So it's not going to follow canonically with any of the Halo stories before. It's a lot of the same characters. Obviously, Master Chief's in it, and I'm sure it'll follow this Covenant and humanity, like have the same kind of gist, but it won't actually it won't actually be a direct storyline that feeds into the continuous Halo story, which I think, Nathaniel, you've proved me wrong with Star Wars Visions and where I fall with that canonically.
Sure.
Like having something be canon, because I think in a best case scenario, something like this is released. It's canon. It's really good. It fits well right into the universe. I just think at a point where Halo is, or a point where a similar franchise or IP to where Halo is right now, it's just very hard to do. And so having this not be canon will allow them to do some more creative things, maybe tell an original story that we haven't really seen before in Halo, and hopefully it'll still be good. I'd rather the show be good and not canon than the show make no sense, be awful, or be tied down and canon.
Well, yeah.
That's kind of what they're going with here.
And I think, too, at this point, the world, if you really want to get, like, that crazy with it, I mean, the world is, like, open and accepting to, like, you could probably find a way to write this back into canon if you wanted to.
Of course.
At some point, as well, too, with a, there's got to be a portal somewhere. Halo feels like there's portals, right?
Not in the dimensional sense. I don't think we'll see a Halo multiverse anytime soon. But, I mean, they have teleporters.
Okay.
They kind of look like portals.
All right, I'll go with that then. Maybe you're getting teleported, though, and something goes wrong, and then you get teleported into a new dimension.
I feel like that would directly break the canon of Halo, but you know what? I'm sure they could figure it out.
Well, Bungie, if you need anything, is Bungie still doing it? No, 343.
343. Yeah,
343. Or Bungie too. I mean, I'll write for you as well. Just give me a call.
Yeah,
give me a shout out.
Bungie's got Destiny stuff going on.
Yeah, Halo Light,
which was a great game when it came out.
Oh, I loved Destiny when it launched. It's a little hard to get into now, but anyway, this still doesn't have an official release date. Sometime in 2022 is when they're saying, and it's going to come straight to Paramount Plus, everyone's favorite streaming service. Who every time I bring that up, and someone says they have Paramount Plus, they like it. So maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I should stop shitting on it.
I like to think of Paramount Plus as just, the one that gets kicked a lot, but maybe has some good stuff.
Let's start kicking around Peacock. I think Peacock.
Yeah, Peacock kind of deserves it, right?
Yeah,
I got Peacock.
Yeah.
What do you think? Good, bad, shit?
It doesn't. I mean, I don't really watch a ton on there. I will say, the couple things I was surprised by is the live sports. I came home one day, I saw that there was a Green Bay game on, and I was like,
"Oh, that's
all
cool.
right. Well, this kind of pays for this for me." So I'm like, "This is cool."
Yeah,
nice.
Because otherwise, I'm watching it on my phone. I'm totally fine with. I've been doing that for a really long time because I get it free from Verizon, but you can't. It doesn't allow you to cast.
Ooh.
So you got to watch it on your phone.
That is kind of tough.
But which is actually okay because Leah doesn't quite enjoy watching it as much as I do. So she can, have something on the big TV and I can just have my phone kind of on quiet or have like a headphone in or something like that and pay attention. So kind of multitasking. But yeah, I mean, she actually uses it more than I am. She's using it right now, actually.
Is she really?
Yeah, and she's no, I don't know what movie she picked out, but she's been watching the new Sex and the City show.
Is that not on HBO Max?
So that's,
Wouldn't that be on HBO Max?
Well, maybe it was. What was she watching? Oh, it was Paris. It was Paris's wedding or some shit. Paris Hilton. I think it's still going on. I don't know, but she likes it, so she watches a lot of stuff on there.
Fair enough. Cool.
I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Maybe we can't kick any of the streaming services around. Maybe they've all found their niche, and we should just leave them be.
Well,
who knows?
Fuck you, Tubi.
Quibi. Fuck you,
Quibi. No, yeah, Quibi. I'm sorry. I love you, Tubi.
Yeah. Now we found the runt to the litter.
I would like to have my comment there stricken from the record. I love you, Tubi. Tubi, you are great. I'm sorry, baby.
Anyway, that's it for news and trailer talk. We can get into everyone's favorite list, the Adam Schwartz's completely subjective new to streaming list for the week of December 26th through January 1st. We are entering the new year. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, not only is it a new month, it's a new year, which must have meant a lot of licensing contracts were because holy crap, do we have a long ass list, and not only that, it's a really good one at that. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to try to breeze through these, but if you guys have any you want to comment on or highlight, go ahead and stop me. Netflix is getting Death to 2021. This is kind of a follow-up special to that Death to 2020 retrospective comedy satire thing they released last year. So they're doing kind of a sequel to that. Cobra Kai season 4. If you're into Cobra Kai, this is going to be, is it the final season? I don't know if it's the final season, but I've heard great things about Cobra Kai, all 3 seasons that are out right now. So if you're into like the Karate Kid, definitely go check that out. Queer Eye season 6. I don't know. I assumed someone watching the show or listening to this show is interested in that one. So
Leah actually watches that, and that's I'm also not against it.
I like Queer Eye.
I've
seen an episode or 2. I'm not opposed.
Yeah, actually, I'm a big design guy, and there's a guy on there that does like all the design for like their makeovers for like their rooms and shit like that, and that's usually my favorite part.
Gotcha.
So, and there's cooking, and I like cooking. So
cool. Netflix is also getting 300, Braveheart,
movie.
Sweet,
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, as well as Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. They're both getting the original 71 and the 05 Johnny Depp version, both coming to Netflix. G.I. Joe, The Rise of the Cobra. That's the sequel, I believe. Or is that the first one? No, that's the first one, I think. 09. Godzilla 98, the one with Matthew Broderick. Gremlins 84, Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2, Hell or High Water. That's the 2016 movie with Chris Pine and Jeff Bridges.
Really
one that
need
I
to see
always see, scroll over, go, oh, I want to watch this, and never click on.
Me too, dude.
So maybe we'll put that on the short list for a review.
Could
Could be. Hook, 91, the Robin Williams.
Fuck yeah.
Classic. I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Both of them on Netflix. I Love You, Man. Just Go With It. Kung Fu Panda. Monsters vs. Aliens. Nacho Libre. Paranormal Activity. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. The Del Toro one. Stand By Me. Taxi Driver. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie collection. So you have the one from the original ones. So you have 90, 93, and 91, as well as the one from 2007, which I'm not as familiar with. Is that another live action one?
I think that's an animated one.
Is that an animated one? That would make a lot more sense than another live action one. Then you're also getting the Terminator movie collection. It says the movie collection, but I only see Terminator 2 Judgment Day listed here. Let me check the list really quick to verify if we're getting more.
Oh, man.
That. Because that might have been my bad.
Terminator 2, probably the best one.
Wait, hang on. Yeah, it just says Terminator movie collection, but then it just lists Terminator 2. So
it's the only one you need.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's the one I haven't seen.
It's a great one.
Actually, I guess I've only seen the first one, so I shouldn't say that. I haven't seen most of
them.
Yeah, that's regarded as like one of the best action films of all time. Still,
it's true.
From what I can tell. Anyway, back to the list here. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Love it.
The Longest Yard from 2005, the Adam Sandler one. The Town, the crime thriller with Ben Affleck and Jon Hamm. That's another one I always want to watch and click on, but then I'm like, it's like 2 hours. So I'm like,
you should. It's good.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good. And I love Jon Hamm, so I probably should watch this soon. And then Troy, also we got Brad Pitt.
Sweet.
And then True Grit with Jeff Bridges. That's it for Netflix. Pretty good list there. A good mix that you have at your viewing pleasure. Amazon Prime is getting 127 hours. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and When Nature Calls. Both of those Ace Ventura movies. Alien vs. Predator Requiem, uncut. I don't know where this falls in the Alien vs. Predator line.
So
it's the second one.
I don't know how.
Nathaniel Flash 2.
Yeah, that's the second one. It's just the unrated version of the second one, I think.
Okay. All right. Amazon's getting John Tucker Must Die, which I feel like was just on this list not too long ago.
I think Blake was talking about it, weren't you?
Yeah, exactly what it was. Yeah. Judge Dredd, Kick-Ass, Mission Impossible 2, and Actually, sorry. Let me read this list in order. Mission Impossible 2, 3, and 4. So the first 4 of the Ghost Protocol are coming to Amazon Prime. Not sure why they're not on Paramount Plus, but I'm sure some kind of deal was made. Number 3, probably my favorite of those 4. The one with Philip Seymour Hoffman. He is a fantastic villain in that movie. Anyway, moving on. Napoleon Dynamite, a classic, coming to Amazon Prime. Predator, Push, Saving Private Ryan, Super Troopers, The Descendants, and rounding out the list for Amazon Prime is The Prestige.
Yeah, big list.
Yeah, like I said, we got a walloping one this week. Hulu is getting 500 Days of Summer. If you're still in the mood for Christmas, they're getting Fred Claus. Hugo from 2011, that's the Scorsese one. The Machinist, Moulin Rouge, Semi-Pro, Seven, Space Jam, and then they're getting a whole slew of Star Trek movies doing, let's see where it starts here. So we got Star Trek, The Motion Picture, Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, The Search for Spock, The Final Frontier, The Undiscovered Country, and then Star Trek Insurrection. And then rounding out that Hulu list is Wuthering Heights. To HBO Max, you're getting 17 again. Annabelle Comes Home. Amityville 3D. This is the 83 one. I don't know why it says 3D. I don't know what's special about the 3D of that, but okay. And then Amityville 2, The Possession. I'm a little confused.
I've never seen that movie before.
I was just about to ask you guys if you'd seen them. But it looks like 3D was 83 and The Possession was 82. Maybe the 3D one is the third one. I don't know. You know what? I don't really care enough to go look it up, so we're just going to keep going. The Curse of La Lorena, Daddy Day Camp, and Daddy Day Care. Love Daddy Day Care. That still holds up. I remember watching it not too long ago. It's still a good movie. Dirty Harry, Easy A, The Fugitive, Godzilla, King of the Monsters is coming back.
Hey.
And then we're getting Harry Potter, the 20th anniversary, Return to Hogwarts. This is like a retrospective kind of thing, it seems like, with the cast. So if you're into Harry Potter, you got that. And launching along with that is going to be Harry Potter Hogwarts Tournament of Houses Season 1. This is a full season of a Harry Potter trivia show, from what I could tell when I looked it up.
Yeesh.
So, yeah, yeesh. Horrible Bosses 2, the Lego Batman movie,
Sweet.
Mean Streets, Memento. Sorry, let me go back. Mean Streets, Memento, The Nun, Paddington 2, Pineapple Express, Teen Titans Go, to the movies, Venus and Serena, When Harry Met Sally, and Yes Man. That is your list for HBO Max. And then Disney Plus, the only one with a short list, but it's a good one. Star Wars, The Book of Boba Fett, Episode 1.
Boom.
Is it already out? Is it out already, Ty?
I think it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
At the time of recording.
Ah, okay. But it's out probably for the listeners.
Correct.
Yeah. That's your long-ass new to streaming list. As you could tell, a lot of good movies on there. So, January, February, kind of some lazy months here as we get into the thick of winter. And as it snowed today here in, Chi-Town. You got nothing but good movies on those streaming services. So, light the fireplace. Start up a thing of hot cocoa, whatever you got to do around this time of year.
Let's watch some movies.
Yes, sir. Let's keep it going here, guys. What we're watching. What have you guys been snuggling up to these past few days as the holidays have been around? We got not quite as much going on now that the retail rush is over. Nathaniel, you said you had a long list, so why don't you start us off here?
Yeah. So I've been snuggling up to a couple different movies the last couple weeks or so. Yeah. So I spent some time, or I finished off Hawkeye. Anyone else complete that journey?
Yes.
Oh, yes. I really enjoyed Hawkeye. I think it's probably my favorite of the shows at this point. And
Agreed.
Would recommend to most listeners as well. Just a bit of fun.
Agreed.
Pretty lighthearted. Pretty, I guess, kind of low stakes in terms of like the Marvel universe overall, but just fun times, well acted, fun story, and I really enjoyed it. I've also been watching a lot of Forged in Fire. That was just kind of like my thing that I had on in the background. Actually, today, my brother got to see Blown Away for the first time, and that kind of like sucked him in real quick. If you haven't watched that,
Sweet.
That's the glass blowing competition on Netflix. Really fun show. Definitely a recommend for me on that one. What else did I get to? So Christmas Eve, I got to a movie on Apple TV Plus. It's called The Fight Before Christmas, or 'Twas the Fight Before Christmas. It's about this guy that wants to put on this like giant, like Clark Griswold-esque light show in this kind of community in Idaho, and basically all of his neighbors are like, yeah, we don't want 1 million people coming through here, and then they get into a big legal battle about everything. So that was kind of crazy and was pretty interesting, kind of funny to watch, and you leave kind of not liking anyone, but also thinking it's one of a really weird experience and kind of fascinating to see unfold. So would probably
First
recommend.
world problems, man.
Yeah, it was would probably recommend, but it was interesting. Yeah. I'd love for one of you guys to watch it because I'd love to like kind of talk about it a bit more. But
what's it called again?
'Twas the Fight Before Christmas, I think, or The Fight Before Christmas.
Yeah, is that the one Bill was talking about?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Shout out Bill.
But then we also got to, or I also watched A Christmas Story, obviously. That's a...
Of course.
Yeah, it's got a pretty much a requirement these days. And then when I got to Christmas, we watched one of the movies that I actually received for Christmas this year from my mom. Oh. One of her favorites called Mystic Pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah, anyone ever heard of that one?
No, but I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, so it's a very young Julia Roberts, like one of her kind of first ones, as well as Annabeth Gish and
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, very early Vincent D'Onofrio. He's really, really young. Lily Taylor, too, and the youngest looking Matt Damon I've ever seen. He's like a background character in one of them, yeah.
I'm trying to look on it. I don't see him on the IMDb.
He's like, yeah, he's one of he's a brother basically that's in like one big scene. But yeah, 1988, kind of like one of those, coming of age comedies, rom-com kind of deals, centered around these three girls that are working in this pizza parlor in Mystic, Connecticut called Mystic Pizza. And that's what it's about. And, it's kind of fun and nice to kind of watch one of those movies that's really not a end of the world drama or something like that, just kind of a normal people having normal problems growing up kind of thing. So
they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah, well, just maybe not as often or as
sure. As heavy or as
or as big or something,
Sure, yeah. We need some small scale movies.
Yeah, so I would recommend it. I think it's a nice fun one to watch. Maybe watch it with your parents or maybe your mom's seen it or something like that, listeners. But it's a fun one. Apparently Julia Roberts is playing a Portuguese person in that movie. Doesn't really line up, but we'll go with that. What else did we get to? We watched Encanto, the new Disney movie set in Colombia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I love that, dude, because that actually kind of piqued my interest. Yeah, it had a jaguar and a capybara in it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's about
and I never know what Blake is going to be interested in. It's so hit or miss. The most random things.
But yeah, it's pretty fun. It's about a family in Colombia who kind of come across this patch of land, and they get blessed with a candle, and that candle creates a magic house, and all the members of the family all the members of the family, once they reach a certain age, touch one of the doors, and that once they touch one of the doors in the house, that becomes their room, and they get a gift. And one of the gifts, for the kid that is talking to the jaguar or the capybara, that's his thing. He can talk to animals, and another one of the sisters is super strong and all this kind of stuff. But there's one of the.
Let me guess. Getting the gifts, they have to give something. They don't realize it.
No. One of the family members doesn't have a gift. When she went to go get a gift, the door disappeared. So it's her story and kind of what she's going to do to
Gotcha.
contribute to the family and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's cute. It's a good little Disney movie. It's really funny. We were watching it, and it's definitely set in Colombia, so there's a lot of Latin influence and all that kind of stuff. And some of the lot of multilingual bits of the movie as well, but. It's funny, even though some of the songs are in Spanish, I just can hear it and just go, I'll bet you Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote this. And without a doubt, just his rhyming pattern is so consistent through all of his work that I was just like, oh man, I can bet you that's what this is. It is. Yeah. Yeah, it is him as well.
Okay. All right. Yep, I see it. Story by.
Yep.
So I'm assuming, he's part of the writing team. Great.
So yeah, if you're interested in that, I'd say give it a check out. But it's a cool little family movie.
Does the capybara talk?
No, you don't hear any of the animals talk. You just see him reacting to and kind of talking to them. Yeah. So a little bit of a bummer there, but still a fun one. We went and saw Spider-Man: No Way Home in theaters again. Still a packed theater when I went and saw it. Yeah. And still a good time. Really fun. Really, really fun. My mom really enjoyed it. She said it was her favorite Spider-Man movie she's seen maybe ever. So
that's awesome.
Got the Mama Gingrich seal of approval. So there you go.
The only one that matters.
Yeah, true.
Right.
Besides the Papa Schwartz seal of approval.
Well, there you go. They're right next to each other.
Yeah,
we need stamps. The last thing I got to was Cruella as well. Which I had not seen yet. I guess big Disney weekend for me.
Well, you're with the family.
Yeah, sure. That's true. But yeah, it was pretty fun actually. I thought overall it was pretty good. I actually liked a lot of the background actors a little bit more than I think Emma Stone or Emma Thompson. But even though they think they did pretty good. I have a weird thing of Americans trying to imitate a British accent. Just never seems to go as well as the Brits doing the American accent.
Sure.
As well too. And just because I think I'm just so used to Emma Stone's voice at this point.
I remember hearing a theory about that. It honestly might have been in that AP Psych class that we were talking about. Actually, I have no idea where I heard this, but the theory I heard was that British people are much more exposed to American content growing up and
Oh
they're
yeah,
much more
I
used
can
to hearing
100%.
American accents
Yeah.
than Americans are hearing British accents. So like they're more used to that because they hear that more growing up than Americans hear British stuff growing up.
Yeah, that would definitely make sense to me. For
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know if that's like a confirmed thing that's been researched or if that's just a wild theory I probably saw on Twitter somewhere. Who knows? But,
Right.
Probably a TikTok thing.
Maybe. I remember this was back in high school that I heard that somewhere, and that's why I think it might be in that AP Psych class. So, but again, I could be blowing a lot of smoke out of my ass. So anyway, continue, Nathaniel.
But yeah, Cruella, pretty fun overall. I do want to shout out a gentleman who I've been noticing a while now in kind of stuff. His name's Paul Walter Hauser, I want to say. He's one of the actors in that movie, and I reckon this guy is going to win something pretty big in the next few years now. Yeah, his name's Paul Walter Hauser. He's just really good. Really, really good actor. So keep a lookout for that guy in a couple of different things. But yeah, that's what we've been watching other than Matrix Resurrections. I'm going to popcorn Tyler.
Ooh, I knew it, dude. I fucking knew it.
I figured you did. Well, you're next to me on the squadron, so.
What are you gonna say?
I said right now you're next to me on the squadron, so.
Oh, I got mine like half screen, so you're above me.
Ah, see, there we go.
Yeah.
Like the Brady
I'm
Bunch.
on the bottom. It's Adam, Blake, you, me.
Boom. But tell me about your list.
So my list is kind of, it's not full, but it felt like it was full. I don't know. So obviously we finished Hawkeye like you did, which was a great time. I think we talked about it briefly, but if anybody's hating on it, you're wrong. It's wholesome, it's fun, it's right around Christmas, and it's obviously right around Christmas now, so it's a good show, and I would have to agree. It's probably one of my favorite out of the ones that have come out of the Disney originals thus far. So I'm a fan. I got to Spider-Man again on Christmas Day, so I've seen it 2 times now. Liked it the first time, like it this time. Still got a little emotional at the same parts I did before, and obviously I had the whole fam with me this time, so it was like my sister's boyfriend, my sister, Carolee, me, Justin, Alex, my stepmom, and my dad. So it was like everybody. So
pretty big group.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So that was fun. I have been recently getting back into a show that I started a while ago. That was Lost in Space.
Didn't they just release a new season of that or something?
They did. So that's kind of why I was getting back into that. I had to go back and watch a couple episodes, so I've only seen like I don't even think I'm caught up like all the way because I stopped after the first season, so I got to catch up through season 2 and then season 3. Gotcha. But I'm still fairly interested. It's still something that piques my interest quite a bit, so I am in there. We watched Elf because you have to.
Good one.
Yeah, I mean it's classic.
Yeah,
I did not really get around to A Christmas Story. It's usually something that's just a classic, and usually by the time I get to my dad's, it's on 24/7 because my dad leaves it on that channel, and I'm like, you're so annoying. And but this time around, Green Bay was playing on Christmas, so as soon as we walked in the house, I was like, yeah, I'm turning this game on, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah, A Christmas Story, one I didn't get to this year that I usually do, just because of COVID Christmas. We were not gathered around to watch. So
yeah. So, but that's always going to be a classic, and maybe give it a shot not on Christmas Day.
I can still probably put it on. It's still fine, I'm sure.
So
my parents very very big fans of A Christmas Story. We have a leg lamp in our front window.
My parents have a miniature one in their dining room,
full sized.
Don't sick. Fragile. Anyways, we got to a Disney movie. It's a newer one. It's called Ron's Gone Wrong.
Oh yeah.
And it's about basically kids don't have cell phones. They have these little robots that communicate with social media and stuff like that. And it's it follows you around. It can take pictures and videos while you vlog on it and shit like that. And one of those kids is just not fortunate enough to have one, but he ends up getting a broken one. and that's Ron, and he goes wrong, and it's a cute little story. So take that.
Fair enough. I think that was one of the ones that was came over in the Fox merger, but it's available on Disney,
makes sense.
Disney Plus, I think now.
Yeah. I also got into a TV show that I had not seen that a lot of people talked really good things about. It's been out for a while, but that would be Daredevil.
You've never watched that?
No, I have
not.
Yeah. That was the first TV show I ever finished, and that was sophomore year of college. Yeah.
That was one of the first ones, and I just really wasn't into TV shows for superheroes at the time. I had really kind of gotten oversaturated with like Green Arrow and The Flash so much that I was just kind of like, I don't want to watch this right now, and then I just never started it, and then I just got too far along where I was just like, fuck it.
Fair.
But after seeing him recently, I wanted to kind of catch up on that, so I had started that.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I like that.
Yeah, I'm liking it so far. We're about 4 episodes deep. So, and Leah's already watched, I think, all of it, if not the first season for sure.
Okay.
So, because it came out when she was spending a lot of time with her sister and her brother-in-law, and they had not had kids yet, so they were like binge watching stuff at night together.
Fair enough.
So. And today, like we've said a billion times, we had gotten snow, and this is like the first legitimate snow of the season.
Oh boy, I know what's coming.
As trending, the first snowy day of winter that we get, Leah and I are bound by a contract of love to watch Frozen.
Nice.
So we turned that on, and we actually finished it probably about 45 minutes or so before I had to jump on here. So that's always a classic for us and very fun, and I'm glad it happened today.
How many times do you think you've seen Frozen by now?
More than I can count.
Okay.
Over 100.
Oh, I was about to ask over under 50, but you think it's over 100.
Over 100 for sure.
That is insane.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I know.
Is that the end of your list?
Yes, and that would conclude my list of watching things that I watch when I'm watching stuff while watching. So, Blake, what'd you get around to?
Yeah, I'll get to my list here. So, I guess I started off on cue on Christmas. Christmas is always at my parents' house, so I'll have cousins, uncles, aunts, grandparents, nieces, nephews, all that. Nonetheless, we had Frozen on because there's 2 little kids, as I described earlier, in my family. So that was just something on, just obviously in the background, right, throughout the Christmas party. But that was cool. So that kind of got my attention a little bit. Outside of that, I got to Spider-Man No Way Home again. So I saw that on Christmas Eve with my dad. I was trying to push to see The Matrix with him, but he said he would rather see Spider-Man, which I can't blame him. Spoiler alert. So that was his first time seeing that, obviously my second time. But yeah, it still holds up good. I don't know, it's just as we expect. That movie's as advertised every time.
Yeah.
So I got to that. I got to the first 2 Matrix. So The Matrix and Matrix Reloaded. I did not get to Revolution. And I don't really like the third one that much. But watch the first 2, and those are dope. The first one is awesome, man. Still.
Yeah.
The second one kind of bumps up on the action a little bit more, in my opinion. But it's still a great movie, though. The highway scene is fucking awesome. Those 2 twin albino ghost guys are fucking awesome. It's just a good movie.
Yeah.
Got to both of those. Then I got to a trilogy of comedy movies that I've always watched growing up. So I got to Friday, which I think Tyler's seen. I don't know. I'm sure you guys have at least heard of that movie.
I have.
For sure.
Pretty popular comedy. So I got to that one. I got to the second one, which is next Friday. And then I got to the third one, which is Friday after next. And that takes place on Christmas. So I watched that on Christmas Eve. So it's just a comedy that just happens to take place on Christmas. So not necessarily a Christmas movie, but it always just hits the spot when it's the Christmas season. So that's what I got to kind of keep it quick and moving. So highlight Spider-Man No Way Home for a second time. And then the first two Matrix just to kind of gear up for the fourth one. And a few comedy movies. So that's all I got. What about you, Adam?
My list has been pretty short just because, as I've mentioned, I've been just spending a lot of time playing Halo. That's been kind of all I want to do with my free time, and I've been enjoying it a lot. But I have gotten to a few things. So one thing I forgot to put on my watching for last week was after our during our King Richard's review. A few weeks ago, I mentioned how I wish I had something to compare this to as far as the tennis movie goes. So one that I was familiar with and easily accessible to me was Wimbledon. I think it's 04 or 03. Yeah, Paul Bettany and Kirsten Dunst. No, just no.
Isn't that more of a rom-com anyways? Or
more of a rom-com. I was hoping it'd be a little bit more of a tennis movie than it actually is. I had no idea that it was not really that at all. There is some tennis in it, obviously, and I would say in our King Richard review, I talked a lot about how I'd love some on-court action and on-court shooting of tennis, and this gets a little bit very slightly closer to that than King Richard's does, but it's still kind of odd and out of place. But yeah, in the few tennis scenes that there actually are, there are some shots that I do like, but for the most part, it's not great, and it's still not what I'm looking for. The other one, I've seen Battle of the Sexes. That's also not necessarily a tennis movie. That is more of like a biopic kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So there's I think it's called. Oh man, there's another one. I think it's Bjorg versus someone. That I forgot the. I think it's Borg versus McEnroe.
Okay.
From 2017. This is Shia LaBeouf, Stellan Skarsgård, and Sverrir Gudnason.
Oh wow, okay.
Gudnason. I'm not familiar. Are you, Nathaniel?
No, but it sounds like a pretty good cast just in general.
Yeah. This is 2017. I remember seeing the trailers for this and actually really wanted to see this. But it's about a 1980s rivalry between Borg and McEnroe, two very storied tennis players. This looks more on par with like a Rush. That's kind of the vibe I get from when I watch the trailer.
Got it.
Rush meets tennis. So I am excited to give this a shot. I need to find where I can watch it, and we'll probably watch it sometime soon. I think this is my best chance to get what I'm looking for, and so I will have to report back on that because from what I've seen in the trailer, I think this is kind of the style that I am closely kind of looking for in some ways. So I will try to get to that sometime soon because watching King Richard's maybe go on a little bit of a tennis kick here, and I kind of want to keep diving into that and see kind of what options we have for tennis movies and where they could go potentially. And then the other thing I got to is the Matrix trilogy. I was able to get to all three before Resurrections.
Good.
So I rewatched the first one. That was my second time watching it. The first time being in 2019, so it's been a little bit. And then the first time watching the last two, I hadn't seen them before, so I got to see the whole trilogy in completion. My overall thoughts: the first one is still incredible. I think it's one of those movies, probably similar to. Again, I haven't seen Terminator 2, but I would say probably similar to that, and one that will always hold up as like great action films or like hand-to-hand combat like kung fu.
Yeah, because that first one's from like '99, so that's
01.
It's old.
Or no, it is 99.
It's 99.
I think. Yeah, it is 99.
It still looks good to your point.
And yeah, it still looks good. The action still holds up. The story still holds up. Obviously, like all of that is really, really cool. The sequels are interesting. They for me go in a much different direction than the first one. Like they do change a lot. And I like it. I like both of them. Definitely 1, 2, and 3 in that order as far as how I like them and how I rank them.
For sure.
Because two has some great action, as well as you were saying. It honestly could in some ways have better action than the first one.
Right.
but both of them are great. And the third one is for me. Like it's not bad by any means, and it serves as a decent end to the trilogy. But is not like near, in my opinion, it's not even close to the first one in quality and like staying power, I guess might be the word I'm looking for. But yeah, I liked all three, and as a trilogy, it was really interesting to reflect because I just finished my film history class where one of the last weeks the topics we kind of talked about was like that early 2000s and CGI revolution that happened, and this is kind of leading the way for that. And so I was kind of looking back at it on that lens, and it's just interesting how much I can't imagine this like really changed Hollywood. I was looking before 1999 as CGI was coming around. This really does, when you look at it, completely change the game, I think, for what movies kind of are and how they're shot and the technology that's used, because we watched a lot of behind the scenes on the bullet time cameras and how they're able to get those shots where they go kind of do a 360 and do not stop motion, but they pause it almost midair, those kind of shots, and then adding in the CGI on top of that. It was cool to look back at it on that with that lens of like how the Matrix stands historically in film history and Hollywood history. So that was kind of cool to go back and look at it in that way. It was fun to have that kind of backdrop for it after taking that class, and then going back to watch them was really cool. So and I have more to say on that as well as we kind of talk about them as a whole going into the Matrix Resurrections. There's some things I want to kind of dip back into with it as far as like their historical there's place in history in that sense. But overall, I really like them. It was great watching that first one again, because I even in 2 years had forgot just how good it is. And I had a lot of fun watching them again, and watched them with Papa Schwartz. So shout out Papa Schwartz. Had a bit of a down Christmas. As I don't know if I'll put that in post pod. I was thinking about it, but we had all had interesting holidays individually, but mine was full of COVID. So I'll leave that there. Anyway, last thing I got to, of course, was The Matrix Resurrections, the fourth one in the Matrix. Can we call it a quadrilogy? Is that
Why
the proper
not?
term?
I think so.
All right, we're doing it. The Matrix quadrilogy. Well, welcome listeners to the main review segment here at Back Row Banter. Nathaniel, if the listener here is new, or maybe they just forgotten, can you give them a rundown of how our review segment works?
What up, listeners? If you are new, or perhaps you have just forgotten, the way that our review segment works here at Back Row Banter is it is split into two different sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie itself, its IMDb page, its summary, cast and crew, what year it came out, all that good stuff. Go into our initial thoughts. We won't do any spoilers for you, but at the end of our kind of initial thoughts, we'll go around and decide, would we recommend this movie, yes or no? Got to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. From then on, it's going to be spoiler time. I'm going to play the spoiler sound. It sounds like this. And you'll know it's spoiler time. So if you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, do come back. I'll play the sound again, and that's when you know it's free to come back and listen to where we rank everything on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we've watched on the podcast ranked. In spoiler talk, I do want to say we'll go a little bit deeper into our thoughts and all that good stuff. But, Adam, tell me about The Matrix Resurrections.
I would love to. This is a new movie releasing, the last two were in 2004, so 17 years.
17 years.
Yeah. Rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 28 minutes, making it the longest of the quadrilogy. An IMDb rating of 5.8 out of 10.
Wow, is that low?
Which is a little lower, a little on the low end, but based on everything I've seen online, that's honestly about where I expected it to be.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people not liking this, some people holding a lot of praise, so I think this is kind of in that in-between area there. Directed by just Lena Wachowski, one of the two Wachowski sisters. Do we know why the other one, I don't know her name off the top of my head, decided
Lily.
not to join in on this project? Lily? Is that
I cannot tell you.
Yeah, so I think the kind of rumor is that Lily was just kind of done with the project overall, and
Okay.
I think that it was quite kind of personal to her, so she just didn't really want to kind of rehash it again.
Sure.
And quite honestly, I think that this is maybe one of the only movies that like Warner Brothers would allow the Wachowskis to make at this point in their careers and like get this kind of funding behind it, since they've kind of had a couple stinkers in a row and at some point. So I think that might be part of it too, but
maybe a little bit of burnout and
Yeah,
not
it could be
necessarily the passion for it.
Could be a couple different things, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I also think I had heard at one point that it was kind of like Warner Brothers was going, "Hey, we're making another Matrix. You can either come along or you can't." So
they kind of hint to some of that.
Yeah, they definitely do at certain points.
They more than hint. They straight up tell you. Anyway, we'll get to that probably in spoilers. Don't want to say too much about that.
Bit of sizzle.
But written by Lena Wachowski, David Mitchell, and Alexander Heman. Don't know how to pronounce that, but anyway, getting into the cast here, we have, of course, Keanu Reeves returning as Neo, Carrie-Ann Moss returning as Trinity, and then Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who, what have we seen him in before? That's Candyman, right?
Candyman,
correct.
Yeah, Candyman. He's in as Morpheus. And then Jonathan Groff as Smith. And then continuing down the line here, we have Jessica Henwick as Bugs, Neil Patrick Harris as the Analyst, Jada Pinkett Smith as Niobe, and Priyanka Chopra Jonas as Sati. And I don't know if I need to keep going here. It's a long list. A lot of original actors from the original trilogy coming back to reprise roles, and then a lot of new faces as well. But I feel like those are the main ones worth mentioning. The IMDb summary reads as follows. Return to a world of two realities. One, everyday life. The other, what lies beyond it. To find out if his reality is a construct, to truly know himself, Mr. Anderson will have to choose to follow the white rabbit once more. Ooh, I like that one. It's not your traditional IMDb summary. It doesn't tell you much about the plot. It just kind of introduces what this fourth one's going to be.
What's your whistle?
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice little teaser. Like, hey, we're going back in. It gives you some callbacks. It gets you excited. As far as information on what the story is, it doesn't do anything. But I don't mind that this time around.
I agree.
So, for whatever listener is going back and making the tier list, the imaginary tier list, upper quadrant, first quadrant for sure. Where in that upper quadrant? Maybe towards the bottom, because it doesn't actually give you tell you what it's about, but mid to bottom first quadrant. Hope you're following that. Listeners are probably not. Anyway, I can fill in a little bit of the details that the summary did not include, but I don't want to speak too much because this is the Matrix. Is if you've seen any of them, you'll probably know are ones you don't really want spoiled, and they can have some thick connecting plots. So I'll try to say as much as I can. I haven't even thought about this, so I don't know where to start. We're going back in the Matrix. We kind of start with Neo. Honestly, I don't even know
how much you want to talk about it. Yeah,
I really don't know if I should even. There's like not much I can say that's non-spoilers. This movie start. It is a direct sequel to all four of them. It is not a reboot in any way. They don't kind of retcon some stuff and take some stuff out. It's not like a Halloween where it's a direct sequel to the first one. It is a direct sequel to the last third movie. So I mean, you're kind of jumping into the thick of it. So I don't really want to say too much. I mean, I'll just say we see a lot of the same characters. Pretty much almost all of our main characters, I would say, a lot of them are coming back. They're changed in some ways. But you've seen the trailers probably. They're back in the Matrix. They're back out of the Matrix. Like they're the same kind of gist. So I don't want to say too much more than that because saying anything more is pretty much direct spoilers because it starts off kind of in the thick of it. So I'm really just going to leave it there on this one. I wish I could say more, but I don't want to risk spoiling it for anyone who has not seen it yet. That being said, 5.8 on IMDb, lots of negative reviews, some raving reviews, kind of all over the place. Where are we landing here? I'm going to start off with Nathaniel Gingrich.
Yeah.
If you want to keep it brief, so we can jump into spoiler talks, I'm sure a lot of us will have a lot more stuff to say, as Adam's saying there. We can do that. Not to stomp on your party.
No. You're good.
If you want to gather your thoughts.
Yeah,
we could jump all there.
I'm weird with the Matrix because like I was kind of in the same boat as you, Adam, in that I had only ever seen the first one. I think I've talked about this on podcasts before. I'd only ever seen the first one up until about 3 weeks ago. So I saw the second and third one really, really recently. So consequently, I kind of feel like the second, third, and fourth one are in some ways all of kind of similar quality to me. just because I feel like the first one is just so iconic. But that being said, I don't know if I didn't know what this movie was going to be. I had no idea with that, and just like, I guess, feeling like I kind of knew what the Wachowskis were feeling, or just kind of their style or what they've been up to the last few years. I think I just wanted to kind of go into this with no expectations. So that being said, I kind of had a pretty good time with this thing overall. One thing that I saw, or a tweet that I saw that I saved, that I felt like really kind of summed up my reaction to this movie, was a film critic I saw on Twitter said, "The Matrix Resurrections is a wonderful adaptation of this Twitter interaction." And it's just the bit where Elon Musk wrote, right, "Take the red pill," and then Ivanka Trump replies back, "Taken," and then Lily Wachowski replies back to both of them and just goes, "Fuck both of you." And I really feel like that sums up Matrix Resurrections all in one.
That's your non-spoiler summary.
That's right, my non-spoiler summary right there. Yeah, exactly. So I think that that pretty much nails it on the head. But I had a pretty good time with this one overall. I'll be very interested to see where the rest of the squadron falls on this guy, though.
Blake, you're the one who told me out of everyone here, all three of you guys, you need to watch the Matrix, but you were the most adamant about it for sure.
Yeah, and funny enough, I remember that was probably the first movie that we bonded on between.
I do remember
Adam.
that, yeah.
Yeah. Or just bringing that up at the start one time, he's like, "I've never seen any of those," and then it was like, "All right," and then friends ever since. I don't know, man. I have mixed feelings about the last. Fuck mixed feelings. I don't necessarily like the fourth one. Okay. That being said, though, I didn't really have the highest expectations. I'm always on the boat, as Nathaniel would say, is like, who's asking for this? We're like, I didn't need a fourth Matrix. Sure. I think we were completely fine after the first three, and just let it be in 2004, 2003, after Revolutions. But as they even kind of hint in this one, Warner Brothers basically demand some of this stuff, and we know how cinematics and politics go right behind business. And I think that's what happened when they had to release this movie. But I don't know. I didn't have high expectations. It's okay, but certainly not even close to the original trilogy or the first two.
Tyler?
Yeah. We were texting a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember.
I kind of had to go back from where I kind of had to stop at and kind of rewatch. It definitely got a lot more intriguing probably within the last 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I probably could have done without the first, hour and 15, hour 20. So I don't know. This one's a little rough for me. I can definitely have fun with these movies. I know what these movies are about. I've watched all three. I've watched the Animatrix. So I'm definitely in on this kind of map that they're laying out for you, but I don't know. I can't necessarily agree with what this was.
In that you just feel like it's too much of a retread, or like too far out of left field?
I kind of don't care for, how they kind of touched on a couple different things as far as like plot points. I thought a little bit of it was a little boring. They definitely make the first three so much easier to get into. And maybe it's just this whole thing we've been talking about, like, just give me new shit. Like,
yeah. Fair.
This doesn't need to be resurrected. Like, I was sitting here after the movie and I was kind of like, is this a reboot? Is this a remake? Like, I didn't really know what to go into this. And then like the first thing I read was like, no, it's a resurrection. And I threw up in my mouth and I was like, what the fuck? So, yeah, I don't know. I probably could have done without this. But but we can definitely talk about it a little bit more.
Is there any part of you that like you guys think of this as like maybe a satire a little bit? Like there's sometimes in this that I wonder if they're just like, I don't know.
So
some of it feels like
a movie like this.
Yeah, some of it feels like there's a little bit of like a wink and a nod to it as well too.
Oh, I think there definitely could be. I think there definitely could be.
I think you're onto something a little bit, and I think we'll be able to kind of touch on. I guess it's not even spoilers, but I think there is some kind of satire and there's some kind of humor elements in here as well. But I think that's just like my biggest gripe with what like Marvel movies have done to mass cinema. We're like, if you watch the original Matrix, like there's nothing funny in any of those movies.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's no one-liners, there's no comedic relief. And like I feel like in like so many movies now you see in this era, there's always some element of that.
Sure.
And it's so frustrating because some of that is seen in The Matrix, not the original, the fourth one. And it's just like that's so out of place because none of that is in the original trilogy. And it just like shit like that just bothers me so much.
So you see that as like a symptom of the Marvelization of movies in some ways. Okay.
For sure. The fucking masses, man.
Yeah, that's very fair.
But you got to cater to the masses, so you can't. You know what I mean? I understand it.
Yeah.
Adam, what was your experience?
You know, so I watched these. I watched this Matrix next day, Matrix 2, or Matrix Reloaded, then Revolutions, then I watched this. So it was a long stretch of Matrix for me. And like I said, the last two I hadn't seen before. So three new Matrix movies for me. So I don't have the nostalgia, I don't have the appreciation as someone who's like maybe watched it when it came out or watched it 10 years ago or watched it 5 years ago, and these have aged for me. The last three movies here, and honestly, the first one rewatching that wasn't a new experience for me, but that was still also very recent for me, 2019, only 2 years ago.
Sure.
So this is much more new for me, and I don't have that nostalgic glasses that a lot of people do have. So I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I heard all those mixed reviews online. And then my brother, of all people, who would normally hate this movie, said he loved it. And that just really threw me off. Because he's one of those people that would hate a movie like this, like a reboot like that, rebooting one of the, soft rebooting, whatever you want to call it, one of the franchise like this. So that just really threw me off when he said that. And so that kind of changed my expectations going into it, where I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe this could have what Nathaniel was saying happened to 1984, where this maybe just snowballed. And maybe it's just not as bad as people are saying. And I just come down kind of in the middle. I don't think it's nearly as bad as everyone's saying. I don't think this is something that it's something that didn't need to be made, but I'm not terribly upset that it was. As a fourth movie, it doesn't, and thankfully it doesn't do anything for me that like affects my appreciation of those first three as a trilogy. This feels like this movie to me does not feel like keep calling it a quadrilogy, but it feels like there is that Matrix trilogy and then there's this one. They are kind of two separate things almost. And after watching this, I feel like I can still separate them. And so that's where that peace of mind comes for me, where I don't need, like, this wasn't as good as I would love it to be, but it wasn't as bad as I kind of could have expected it to be. And so because it's in the in-between and because it separates the story enough from that original trilogy that had a nice perfect ending in the sense that it cut off the story, there wasn't really much more to be continued upon, and now they're continuing upon a story like that. Since I can separate it and it wasn't as bad as I thought, I'm okay with this movie. It's fine. There are things I wish they did better. There are things I don't like about it. But at the end of the day, like, this is about what I could expect from a Matrix or fourth Matrix movie that's not a reboot and that isn't retconned. Like, if they're trying to continue the story that just completely ended, like, there was nothing really more to continue on at the end of Matrix Revolutions. Like, they tied that bow. They put the seal on it. And then they're just reopening that back up. This is about what I could expect from that. They had to figure out something. If it was a situation where Warner Bros. Was forcing the Wachowskis' hands, I think this is about as good as we can get for the most part. There maybe could have been more, and then there maybe will be more. But I think for now, I'm okay with what this is. I've kind of accepted it. It's just not as terrible as everyone says it is, and I do wish it could be better. But I'm kind of in between on that one. So yeah, I'm just very middle of the road. It's fine for me personally. As far as the recommends go, so we can get into spoilers and talk about this a little bit more in depth here, I would say I am a recommend. I mean, if you've seen the first 3 Matrix movies and you like them, any of the 3, I think this is still a good enough watch. Like, we're going back in. It is a modern Matrix movie. There are still things. It is still fun to watch. There are, in my opinion, I still enjoyed watching this. I still think it has some good action. And so I still had a good time overall. And I think if you've enjoyed the other Matrix movies, you'll still have a good time too, for the most part. Apparently not a lot of people would agree with that, but for me, I'm still a recommend. I don't know about you guys.
I'll tell you why this movie's a recommend. And this is the only fact that you need to know. About a month ago, there was a viral video that went around of a cover band for Rage Against the Machine that's fronted by a female lead singer called Brass Against. They play all the Rage Against the Machine covers with like a horn section. And in the video, she, for some reason, and apparently with full consent, just absolutely urinates on this one fan's face. Did you guys see that video or hear anything about that?
No.
One of the craziest things I've ever seen. It's just at a concert, and she just full on just goes for it. But the song, every Matrix movie always ends with a Rage Against the Machine song. And for some reason, The Matrix Resurrections ends with that song and that band covering that song that was featured in that video with that insane woman peeing on that man's face. And for me, for that choice alone, I think this movie gets a recommend.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I'm fascinated by this movie. Like, I think it's so weird. This movie is right? So weird. I truly think this is going to be one that I'm going to like kind of rewatch a couple different times and like take a while to kind of sink my teeth into, because there's a lot of ideas I think in here that are strong. I think that I'll probably talk about in spoilers. I think there's
a lot more subtext than people are giving it credit for.
Yeah,
you can read this very surface level, and I think a lot of people are. But if you read into it, I think there is more there that will make this movie more interesting.
Yeah, well, it's even surface level text too. Like, they just outright are calling out like Warner Brothers and stuff like that. Like, all of that stuff is just needs people that are more involved with kind of, I think, like some of the cultural and maybe other aspects of this movie that I'm not necessarily exposed to or anything like that, to kind of maybe bring more of that out further. Or formulate those thoughts in a way that is going to be appealing for more of a mass audience. I can tell you right now that like my first watching of it, I didn't feel like I sank into this movie the way I do with other movies or as easily. It just seems very tangled at the moment, and I'm just not sure if that's because of the way that I'm trying to attack it, or if it is just that kind of dense and that's the way it is. It's just it's an odd duck to me, but it's interesting, so it's a recommend.
Okay. Ty? Binary. Ones and zeros. No better movie for a binary recommendation.
Nah.
No.
Nah.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate?
If someone's gonna ask, like, if, like, for example, or like Nathaniel, if they're like, "Hey, do I gotta watch like the first 3 before I gotta watch this?"
Oh, listeners, I think this is the time where my
Discord you can watch first.
Cuts out. Yep. He'll be back in a second, so just give it a moment. Just pause for station identification. This is KYOT, the Coyote, Smooth Jazz, and we're back.
So I didn't overly need this, and I didn't really care for how they kind of wrap stuff into it, and it's fun, but like even like the little things, which we'll get into, you're better off watching 1, 2, and 3, and then you don't have to worry about this. Like Joe, for example, our boss, he's probably watched all 3 of the Matrix. If he goes like, "Hey, do I need to watch this?" I'm like, "Nah."
It maybe feels like like the first Matrix is like an art movie that somehow just hit all the right buttons and like got massive.
For sure.
Right. And then the second one and third one are kind of like a follow up on that. And you can see them becoming like almost more commercialized. And then I just feel like this is like another art movie again. But now it's just like holding a middle finger up to everything else that was before it in some ways.
Yeah.
And like in some ways, I'm just thankful of interacting with it on that level. But I think if you're interacting with it, like I want to see action and like the hotel scene from the first one or the highway scene from the second, it's just not that.
No, it's not, and I can still definitely elaborate on that because there wasn't obviously a lot on that in this. But I don't even think it's that. It's some of the other stuff that I can kind of go over. But,
oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, I was just
no. I know, but hey, this is what we're here. We're here to have a conversation.
True.
Blake.
I mean, we always say time and time and again, like eventually we do have to give our genuine feelings of like not recommending stuff. And I don't think I would recommend this to anybody who enjoys the original Matrix trilogy.
There.
So, but let's get into spoilers, man, because there's a lot of stuff to discuss.
Yes, we should get in here. So, if you've not seen the Matrix was this one Resurrection?
I don't even know what the fuck it was called.
I know too many hours, man.
I don't even know what it was called.
Oh man. If you've not seen the Matrix Resurrections, go ahead and check the episode description where you can check the timestamp to jump to. Where you'll be taking to our ranking of the movie up upon the entropy list.
Up upon.
Spoilers.
Shit goes
down
in the Matrix.
And outside of the Matrix. I've decided I am dubbing the aesthetic of the Matrix movies as cyber grunge. Thoughts?
Okay.
Cyber grunge.
I was like watching this. I'm like, it's not cyberpunk. It's not necessarily sci-fi per se. It's cyber grunge.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
That kind of dystopian punk.
Yeah, right? It's almost punk, but not quite punk. It's like 90s grunge turned into like mixed with cyberpunk in that way. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was pretty good when I was watching the original trilogy. I was proud of it, so thought I would share.
So then, I mean, no, it's all good. I mean, to kick things off with things like I just don't enjoy. And okay, I like Yahya.
A great way to start off this.
Yeah. We're going straight cut.
Sure.
I like Yahya though as an actor, right? I liked him in Candyman.
Yeah.
And I even like him in this film. But like, why have him as Morpheus? Like, if you're gonna do that, why not just have fucking Lawrence Fishburne?
I would have loved to see Lawrence Fishburne,
and that would have made the movie already infinitely better.
And
if you would have had,
I think it's because
Reeves, Carrie-Ann Moss, and Lawrence Fishburne.
Because
they didn't take that route.
Morpheus is dead in canon. He died in
that's right.
He died in the game. Like they made after the original Matrix trilogy, they made the Matrix Online game, and like one of the main quests in that is Morpheus dies in that.
Oh, okay.
And so they had to bring him back
explain a little bit
in some way. But yeah, I agree. Like I agree with you. Like 99% of the movie going public has not played the Matrix online multiplayer game or would have any reason for Morpheus being dead. But as like the crazy lunatic in me kind of appreciates that they just went, yeah, fuck it, he's not coming back. We're going like some crazy other way. But yeah, Lawrence Fishburne is just
have him be another character, which would be cool too. Just don't have him be Morpheus.
That's fair.
On the flip side of that, Smith, played by Jonathan Groff.
Yeah, I fucking hate that guy too.
I love him. Hamilton did not do a good job playing Smith.
Terrible.
I did not like it at all. I wish they would have found something closer to the original Smith. He, in my opinion, just did not embody that character in any way and did not feel menacing in any way like the original Smith does. So the original Smith comes on screen and you kind of go, oh shit, in the original trilogy.
Yeah,
and they want you to go, oh shit, and then exactly. They want you to go, oh shit, in this one, and I just kind of go, huh? He's supposed to be that guy? Like, oh man. It was totally a miss for me, and I like Jonathan Groff. He's in Hamilton. I love Hamilton. I love him as King George III, but just what a miss on this one. That was really unfortunate to see, because I do think Yahya did a good job, best job he could at least, as kind of going back to Morpheus, and he even tried to talk like him a little bit more. And I think Jonathan Groff has like one line, like one of his first lines as Smith when that switches and he realizes who he really is, he has like one Mr. Anderson line that somewhat resembles the original, and then that's it.
Yeah, he calls him Thomas more often.
Yeah, and then he calls him Tom Tom or Thomas the rest of the movie instead of Mr. Anderson. Like, come on. That seems like that was a huge miss for me because Smith in the original ones is one of my favorite characters, and just like
it's just
the way
a great
he keeps
villain.
going, Mr. Anderson.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
The way he says that, I could listen to him just talk like that in monologues all day, and in this one, it just fell so flat for me. That was one of my biggest disappointments.
You're 100% right in him being one of the more popular characters from this franchise, and I think that it's the same thing with Yaya, where it's just like, if you were gonna make him Mr. Smith, then just bring back Hugo Weaving.
Sure. Well, it's just and it's weird too because
him, then that's fine. Just don't have him be Mr. Smith or Agent Smith, and we're fine. You know. Yeah. But I think that's where it almost seems like it's a recreation, but it's not. But I guess it is the Matrix, so
it's a resurrection.
Well, it's weird too because like
so logically it makes sense.
I would say the other thing is that if they want to do it how they did it, where they recast Morpheus and Smith, that's fine. I just think Jonathan Groff was terribly miscast for Smith. I don't know who would have been better, but I think he was terribly miscast because I think Yaya did a decent job, as good as a job he could. Just Smith was way off the mark.
Yeah, I hear he's much more off the mark than Yaya is.
Yes, for sure. Nathaniel, you were trying to say something earlier.
Yeah, well, I was just saying that it's kind of a no-win situation though, too, in some ways. I think because you've already had in canon a character basically imitating Smith when he has that like real-world analog Bane, who's like doing his kind of Hugo Weaving impersonation the whole time. So like, I guess it's like kind of weird. I'm with you guys though. I think Jonathan Groff just doesn't translate to anywhere close to the menace of Hugo Weaving.
Yeah.
And Smith is just one of the all-time great villains now, which is even like made even more emphatic with just like maybe how you think of like the big things like Marvel or something, how like they're known for not having great villains, you know? And then when you like watch the original Matrix and you see how menacing he is the whole time, and then like later on in the second and third one, he's like, no, we're connected now. Like, and he just like, and he ultimately becomes the reason why Neo kind of offs himself and has to come back to it.
Sacrifice himself.
Right. Yeah. He becomes Machine Jesus. So like,
Machine Messiah.
So yeah, it's really weird. And like, it's just a bummer, I think, too, because like, again, if you told me, Jonathan Groff is going to be playing the Agent Smith role, like off the top of my head, I'd be like, hey, he could probably nail it. But like, it just didn't translate.
I don't know what it was. Maybe it was misdirection on the part of Lena Wachowski, because I he's a good actor.
He just never felt comfortable. He never felt comfortable in the role.
Yeah, he never felt like he knew which direction he was taking at some points, because you could tell he wanted to be menacing, but he was also trying to add some lightheartedness to it, and that just isn't the character.
In contrast, though, as like we've kind of brought up a couple different times, I think Yaya playing Morpheus with this kind of mixture of a Smith in there too was actually really, really like nailed very well, because they kind of bring that up, that like this Morpheus is based off of the original Morpheus, but had to be given Smith code so that he could kind of like break free, which I think is really interesting, which is why I think he's a bit more quippy and a bit more kind of like of a jerk than original Morpheus was.
Yeah. I
also think there's a bit of confusion too, because they don't really perceive Smith in this one as the main antagonist. They almost make it seem as, it's the analyst, and then towards the end you kind of start to piece things together a little bit more. But I think that's where you kind of get a little bit thrown off by Smith, because in the original ones he is the guy. And you really don't see a lot of that in this one versus the first three. So,
fair.
I mean, I think Smith almost like ends up as a third entity, and that was one of the ideas that I really liked in this one, was that like you have the machines and how they've fractured off into their own parts, and like some of them have joined with the humans, and you get that bit of Neo, like, what Neo did in the original three actually did matter and set up a different sort of society. So I thought a lot of those ideas were really, really interesting. Morpheus kind of becoming this figure who couldn't move on past what he had already done or what he and Neo had accomplished. I thought was really, really interesting how they kind of treat Trinity in there and how they kind of pin her into her role as like the mother figure within the Matrix now. I thought was really interesting as well too. So like again, I found all these kind of ideas and what they do with kind of these characters and some of the ways they set that up to be particularly intriguing as like a viewer. But I think the way that they dramatize that and bring it forth into the action is just very confusing and is really kind of muddled, especially when you consider how great the first one in particular, the first two I would say, handled that action and how much better that was woven into the storyline in a lot of ways. Or did I just talk a lot and, and everyone checked out there?
Good. I can definitely back all that. I think I don't even have a issue with the casting so much. I will agree that Jonathan was not slated for this character as somebody probably would have thought. But for me, the issue, as far as like the little things that I can kind of pick out, and if I am being like super nitpicky, the things that made the Matrix really magical for me is one, it was new, but two, the sense of like urgency to download new things in a certain amount of time, and now it's just so easy. And the combat between Yaya and Keanu, it hits totally different than what the original version of that looks like, and it seems so much more real because they have less to work with in the first one. That you can tell it's a lot easier for them to do a lot more of the Matrix things, my air quotes, because they have so much more technology. So I get it, and I know that plays off each other. Obviously, technology has evolved a lot within these few years that the Matrix has been kind of non-existent. So I definitely get it. But I think for me, that's just kind of where I get a little nitpicky, because the kung fu aspect of this and the fighting and the guns and everything was really important to how this originally started.
Definitely. Yeah, it was nice seeing. It was kind of cool to see what a modern Matrix movie looks like, because I was watching the original three, obviously, as I mentioned before, and kind of in that historical context of 99 and 04, and what they did for action movies, what they did for CGI, and just Hollywood in general. And as I'm watching that, I was just kind of like, I wonder what this would look like if it was made today. And we kind of got the answer to that in what this is, because I think it brings enough of that original trilogy style and mixes it with modern action. I think it does enough of that to make it feel like this is how a Matrix movie would be if it was made today. One of the interesting things that about that is how the film is edited and cut, because when you're watching the first three, they often do some medium to wide shots of the kung fu action, and they're decent long takes
for sure.
And something that you've seen over time as editing has progressed, especially with computer technology that can let you have all these quick edits, is you'll see a lot of fight scenes. And maybe this is another, I don't think it's only Marvel, but it could be another side effect of Marvel, because they do this a lot with how they're shot and edited, but a lot of quick cuts on the punches and a lot of quick cuts on a lot of these action scenes to kind of get you a little bit closer and have it feel a little bit faster. And you lose some of that. I think that's what you lose with the what's the word I'm looking for here? Not the special sauce of the original, like action and kung fu of the original.
No, you're right.
Word you're kind of looking for there. That makes it so good and makes it hold up. I think you lose that with the quick cuts, and I think they would have benefited from maybe going back to that original style in a modern day movie and holding those shots a little bit longer, because this is a modern Matrix movie and it doesn't look bad, and I still think the action is good, and it definitely matches up with something we'd see today, obviously. But I think it would have been a great style choice to kind of hold true to those originals and have the shots held long, or have the kung fu from a bit of a stand, like a step back, and have the characters kind of play around the set or whatever it is, the setting, a little bit more than they did in this, because a lot of the action sequences in this one evolved a lot of characters, a lot involved much tighter and enclosed in sets compared to the first one, which were pretty open. I mean, you have that one scene with the French dude. I forgot his actual name.
Merovingian.
Merovingian, which is a cool name, by the way. When I heard that, I was like, "Ooh." Anyway, yeah, the second one. So they have that fight in the second one where Neo's fighting his henchman, if you want to, whatever. And so after
the staircase.
Exactly, the staircase
Yeah, that's
scene.
a dope shot.
What a great fucking sequence, right? And they use the whole set. They go all over. They use the whole entire area, and they had the few action sequences they have that are similar to that in this are that closed in, almost like warehouse basement area. I don't even know where they were, to be honest. It was closed in. They didn't have the opportunity for those wide shots. It felt a little claustrophobic, honestly, especially when you compare it to the action sequences of those original three.
Well,
so
I think part of that will be because the cinematographer on the first three, Bill Pope, was working on Shang-Chi while they were
was that what it is?
Was making this one, and then the original fight choreographer.
That would make a lot of sense.
I believe the original fight choreographer for the first three, I heard as well, has since passed away. So I think it's a different fight team as well. It could be.
I do think, yeah, that's definitely it. And I do think that's just a style change. If that's not the original ones that came back to do this, they're going to have to get someone else, obviously, and they're obviously going to do kind of what the modern style is, and that's totally fine. That's totally kind of what I expected.
Sure.
I just wish maybe Lana Wachowski would have been like, all right, this is what we're trying to go for, and the new people that she brings on goes, hey, you've probably seen The Matrix. Let's sit down, rewatch them. Let's go through this, see how we can kind of replicate some of this stuff. Because I think that's kind of what misses the mark here for me when you compare the original fight and the fighting and the original Kung Fu from the originals to this one.
I just wonder too, because I mean, both the Wachowskis cut their teeth as comic book artists and comic book writers as well, and I believe that used to be like the first Matrix. They talk about the stories being that they had two pretty well-known comic book artists actually storyboard most of it for them as part of like their pitch meetings to different people. As they're like, this is what we're thinking, and I think that probably came across a lot more nowadays. That storyboard style might have changed. They've filmed a lot of different things since then, and I'm sure maybe their process has changed a little too, so that could also be some of that as well too, because I think the first one, particularly looking back at it now, it is just so much a comic book brought to life in a lot of scenes too.
Or more of a graphic novel, to be honest.
Yeah, a graphic novel, or like even a manga, like that kind of anime styling as well too, which is of course obviously they were also into that as well too. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a statement though at the end of the day, and I think I would prefer that over just kind of a milquetoast take on this. Like I guess I'm just happy that it's not a Force Awakens, where it's a beat for beat remake in some ways, in that this is like kind of what we were talking about earlier, and that it is a direct sequel to the third and to the second and third and the rest of the trilogy, and continues that storyline going on. So for me, I can at least sink a little bit into that. But to both kind of, I think, Blake and Tyler's point, this doesn't have the original sauce taste that brought everyone into the first one and whets their appetite.
Did you say cane sauce?
Ooh.
I said special sauce, but cane sauce
I thought somebody said cane sauce in there for a second.
Cane sauce might be the special sauce.
It could be. I'm going to get behind it, but
it's interesting kind of looking at this. As I kind of mentioned earlier, I kind of view this as the Matrix trilogy plus one. Like, they're almost separate from each other. Like, you can still have that original and separate this one from them, and I think I will continue to do that going forward. But that being said, like, not a lot happens to progress any kind of story in this one. There's not a lot of things that I feel like progress in this. It's just kind of like a story that happens, and I wonder if that's pretty intentional from Lana Wachowski. Like, if it truly was the case that Warner Bros. Said, "Hey, we're doing this. If you want to do it with us, sure. If not, we're going to do it anyway." If she was like, "Well, I don't want to touch the original. I don't want to have to add that, and so I'm just going to try to make it make a sequel that will please them, and also nothing. It doesn't affect the originals at all. And I think if that's the goal, accomplishes it really well. There's nothing that really there's nothing in this movie that makes you look back on and view those original 3 differently, which I think is that's like the bare minimum needed to kind of hold those original 3 in pristine condition, if you want to kind of look at it that way. And in that respect, I think it does that well, and I feel like that could be intentional if they didn't have a true vision for a 4th movie, which they seems like they didn't, and they had to do something. Might as well make it in a way that doesn't touch that original vision.
Well, you know what I want to know?
Go ahead.
Is where it ranks.
Up upon. Are we done talking? I could keep going. I know we're running long on time, but I figured if there's an episode we're gonna run long on time on, it's a Matrix. It's a Matrix.
Why not the fucking Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Real quick before we do jump into that, to Adam's point of what a Matrix movie would look like in today's time, obviously with how innovative it was when it came out in '99 and where we were at with the internet, opposed to now. I do like their kind of take on that now, where in the originals it was always through like phones and landlines, right? That's kind of how they hooked up to the internet and things of that nature. And this one, it's always like basically mirrors every time. So obviously they kind of found a loop around that. So that was really cool to me. That's something I picked up right away because I was like, there's no way they're going to throw in fucking home phones into this thing again. You know what I mean?
The operator like shows up in the Matrix with you at certain points. I thought that was kind of cool too.
I really like that choice to put the operator into the Matrix as just kind of. To me, I don't know if he's actually supposed to be there. To me, that was just a storytelling thing to make the viewer understand, like, oh, the operator's kind of just with them, but like you cut back
maybe
outside. That's how I interpreted it. I didn't think he was actually supposed to be in the Matrix. I thought that was more of a storytelling thing where you kind of see the operator there.
Or maybe, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
They got some good twists for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if
not a doormat movie by any means. We kind of, or at least I kind of shitted on a little bit. So not a doormat movie by any means. Just there's high expectations, man, for a Matrix film. And I don't think they hit it.
I like the idea that the part of like the new Matrix is that it just like there is so much just noise or like people getting your attention all the time or like trying to get Neo's attention all the time. Like that's how they suppress him. They're like, it's social media and it's all your assistants wanting your attention and it's your kids that want to like get in your overbearing husband. Like all of those things are created by the Matrix to make it so that you can't filter out what the Matrix actually is or anything like that. I thought that was kind of an interesting evolution on that stuff. So that's kind of my thing. I feel like there's a lot of strong ideas in this in some places, but they just didn't really choose to focus on them. So maybe that's kind of the takeaway at the end of the day from me. But
where you guys want to rank it, man?
Yeah, we can get into that. I don't know. We could talk probably about this movie for a long time.
Yeah, write in if you got opinions or thoughts. This could be a pretty contentious one, I think. So listeners.
Yeah, I definitely think it would be. So welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're going to go ahead and rank Matrix Resurrections. Hop upon the entropy list.
Hop upon. I predict this will be an interesting one.
This is, right? Yeah. I'm going to be interested to see where it lands. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy List is Back Row Banter's official list of every movie we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. This is essentially how we rate our movies. Rather than do out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is, we throw up all the movies we review on one complete list and see how they compare to one another. If you like to reference the Entropy List for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where it is linked to my Letterboxd. The Matrix
Resurrections.
I did like how they kept the intro sequence as the same as the other ones.
Where you zoom in through the letters, the Matrix code,
through the binary. I mean, I kind of expected them to do that, but for some reason it just didn't pop in my head that they were going to do that. So it was just cool, like seeing that again in 2021. I don't know. I like that through line there.
And we didn't mention that basically the opening shot of this movie.
We're out of spoilers, so just be careful.
You're right.
Is it how urgent is it?
It's all good. It was just
okay.
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's anything spoiler.
Was it heavy spoiler or light spoiler?
No, I would say kind of light spoiler. With the first shot of this movie, how it opens is eerily similar to another
Oh,
Matrix
sure.
movie. So
Yeah, that's light spoiler. That's light
that was
spoiler.
kind of cool to see, though.
Yeah, I agree.
It was something you picked up on right away.
For sure.
Right.
For sure. I think that's light enough to let slide there.
Yeah.
So anyway, The Matrix Resurrections, number 82 upon the entropy list. A lot of movies, as Nathaniel was saying pre-pod.
Yeah.
This is true.
Then the list is climbing up there, and it's only going to keep growing. I'm going to give us all. I'm trying to stall right now. I'm going to give us all a second to kind of ponder the list here because this is kind of hard to pinpoint. At least for me, it is.
I've been thinking about it here, a little bit too.
Just fire away once you guys get an idea.
Blake, you go ahead.
55.
55.
Not as low as I thought you were going.
And above Mortal Kombat. I agree. Not as low as I thought Blake would be going. Do you want to elaborate anywhere or about anything as far as your selection at 55?
Yeah, I mean, just because when you start looking at action movies, I'm looking at like Godzilla vs. Kong and the Mortal Kombat. I'm like, I think this is better than those movies, right? Especially for what it is and that it has a universe with it. But then I look at the movies above it, Army of the Dead. I really don't know how that's that high. But then once you get like Ghostbusters and above, I think those are all movies we all genuinely enjoy. And I was like, I don't think I can put it above any of those.
Yeah, Blake, I'll piggyback off that real quick too. I actually have this one not far from you, but I have it at 52, just above Army of the Dead.
Okay.
And I was kind of the same thought process. Originally, I actually had it higher up at Eternals, but then I was like, man, Tenet, Black Widow, Insidious. I would, and The Descent. I would definitely rather watch all of those again before this.
Yeah.
But then I was looking through there, and I think I would rather watch this than Mortal Kombat and Ma Rainey's at this point. And if I
could give you that.
If I had 2.5 hours between this and Army of the Dead, I think I'd rather watch this again. Just real quick. But if we were going at like nostalgia versus nostalgia, I think I'd probably go Ghostbusters Afterlife over Matrix 4 for this one. So I'm gonna throw it in at 52 and call it that one. Call that one good for me.
See, I am also not too far off of that, Mark Nathaniel. I am at 51. Kind of this exact same thought process. I can't put it above Blind Spotting, but then going any lower than Ma Rainey's is kind of iffy for me. And so if we're looking at nostalgia versus nostalgia, like you said, I think I'm going to give it to The Matrix. So I'll put it at 51, below Blind Spotting, above Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ty, have you made your decision?
Yeah, this one's a little hard just because you got something like Trick or Treat as low as it is, which I don't agree with. And I'd rather watch both Godzillas before I watch this.
Okay.
You know, if I'm gonna play around with, what I think is like a good movie versus like, what actual replay value is and shit like that, I would probably put this at 57.
57.
Okay.
So below Godzilla vs. Kong and above King Richard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty widespread there. Not super wide. I honestly kind of expected.
I thought we were going to be all over the place, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but no one person or two people, I guess, in the same position here.
Fair.
But averaging that out comes to 53.75. So we can either round down here to Candyman or tie break with Ma Rainey's. If I had to guess,
well, it's going to lose any tie break, because I'm pretty sure it's one of the lower.
That's fucking 2 on IMDb, whatever it is.
Yeah, Ma Rainey's is 6.1. So we'll go ahead, and I think it's just going to drop there at 54. Yaya kicking himself down. Kicking himself down in Candyman. But
you know what? I might have preferred some of his Morpheus in this than his Candyman bits. Him in that gold suit at the start with the glasses, and when the water's coming down, he's got the cross grip gunfire. I was like, yeah, I'm in on this. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. So we have The Matrix Resurrections below Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and above Candyman at spot 54. And like I said, out of 83. If you want to reference the entropy list, like I said, you can do so. The link is in the episode description. It's getting pretty long now, ladies and gents. Maybe give it a review. Maybe see.
It's end of the year.
It's end of the year.
You want to pick out something for the new year?
For a year and a half.
Yeah.
83 movies. I mean, it's a sizable list where you can get some good kind of.
I got a quick question for you, fellas.
Yeah, go ahead.
biggest snub of the year, you think, on the Entropy list?
Ooh.
2021.
Off the top of your head, if you could piece together what was this year, what
hardest
wasn't.
thing, the hardest thing is remembering what was this year. If I had to remember, I think, what was the first movie we reviewed at the beginning of the year? I can probably find this out. Give me 1 second. Let's see. We are looking at first movie of 2021.
Maybe Last Night in
Soul.
Soho, I thought might be higher.
It was Soul. That was episode.
Okay.
That was episode 33. So any of the ones I have the episodes marked on under each in the description of each movie on the Entropy list is marked what episode it was. So any of the ones that are above 33.
Okay. So Nathaniel, you're saying your biggest snub is Last Night in Soho?
Maybe. I mean, I think most of these are pretty.
On that one?
Yeah, I think most of these are pretty on point. To be honest with you, I think we're overall pretty good for most of these. There's not too many of them that have been like. Was Forgetting Sarah Marshall in 2021? I feel like that one gets kicked a lot.
Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah, so that would probably be my pick. I think that one deserves to be a little bit higher than it should be.
Sure, that's just hard because it's a comedy, and then we have all these other like
for
movies,
sure.
But that's the beauty of the Entropy list, man. That's what I was about to say earlier. I think I'm glad we did this because I think it's just fun to see how these movies stack up. Just like when you look at pure quality,
right?
No matter the genre. Biggest snub for me, I don't know. Tyler, as I take a look, Tyler, do you have one that you were able to pick out?
No, I'm actually a little confused. So you said 33.
Episode 33 is so any episode after 33. Any movie that reviewed an episode after episode 33 is a movie reviewed in 2021.
But like, what about like King of Staten Island? That was like our very first episode.
No. He's saying in 2021. That was episode 1.
Yeah, Blake was saying in 2021, what was your biggest?
I'm not looking at number 33 on the Entropy list. On the Entropy list, I don't know how you're seeing it on the mobile app. On my desktop here, I have under the description of each movie on the Entropy list, I have put what episode it was reviewed in.
Oh yeah, you can't see that on mobile, so I'm not gonna.
That's probably where we're missing the marker.
Yeah.
So any episode, that's what I was saying. Any episode after episode 33 was in 2021.
Got it. Yeah, this isn't gonna work out for me then.
Okay, might be a little hard. Yeah, I don't know if I have a big one. Maybe Malignant. I was hoping that would be higher, and Nathaniel really let me down there. And I don't mind Ty being so low on it, but I really thought Nathaniel would like it more.
I loved it.
That would probably been my biggest one. You loved it. No, it was me and Blake that were going like, let's put it number 2. I don't remember.
I don't think it needed to be that high, but
I don't know about 2.
Yeah,
I don't remember where it was.
No, exactly, I love Malignant. It's great, but I don't know. It didn't need to be that high up there though.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, that's probably
my
biggest snub. I wish that was higher. That was a good question. Thanks.
Blake,
did you have one, Blake?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Blake, would Dune be yours since it's not in the top 3 where all the other Denny V ones are?
Yeah, I was like, my quick answer wanted to be Malignant at 35, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think the Dune I think the Green Knight at 13 might be a sneaky stub.
Wow.
Very quietly, man.
Possibly.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
But then you look above it in green.
Yeah, I know. It's like that's like my biasness.
Yeah, I loved the Green Knight. I think it's actually the Dune and the Green Knight. I think are at great spots. Personally, maybe the Dune could be a little bit higher, but I enjoyed the Green Knight personally more. So I am not mad about it. But I think objectively, for most people, more people would enjoy Dune and would probably think Dune should be higher. But you know what, listeners, write in. Take a look at the Entropy list, see what your snub of 2021 was and where you would have ranked it. And maybe we'll read it out on the podcast. Send that email into backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. An email I am going to check right now really quick to see if we have any emails for, because I was in a rush making the show notes. And did not check. We should be good here. No listeners writing in. Unfortunately, we'd love it if you did. So like I said, backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. Let's get this show on the road here, guys. Our next topic, our next review for next week is a reschedule of the movie Pig featuring Nicolas Cage. And I think it's Alex Wolff.
One of the Wolves. It's Hereditary Boy, isn't it?
I think it's Alex Wolff. Yeah, Hereditary Boy. But yeah, doing Pig, which we were supposed to review, was it last week or the week before? We ended up having to skip that week, just due to scheduling stuff. So we are rescheduling that for next week since we have a free week. So if you have not already seen it, it is currently streaming on Hulu. It's only about 90 minutes. It's a quick runtime. It's a good time, and we'll get more into that next week. But give Pig a watch, and then join us for our review next week. You can also share the podcast, share it with a friend, a family member, and maybe a member of your resistance. I don't know where I was going with that. What's a good Nathaniel? What's a good
friends,
Matrix one?
Obviously.
You can share with the virus. Share with an analyst.
Yeah.
Share with the program.
Follow the White Rabbit. Sentient works too. Follow the White Rabbit down the rabbit hole and spread the pod with the rabbit.
Amazing. And also follow the show. You can do so on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and on YouTube. We're just Back Row Banter. Please, 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 pretty please, go subscribe to us there. Even if it is not your primary place of listening, we'd love to get the subscriber count up on YouTube. So I think we have to hit 100, and then we get youtube.com/backrowbanter instead of a jumble of letters. And that's all I want in life.
Sure.
So, BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Yes, sir. Letterboxd, I'll be on there logging some stuff. Haven't had any reviews, but I'm sure I'll have something for Scream coming up. So, movie I hold closely to my heart. So, Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. That's where you can find me. I'll pass it over to. Let's go to Adam.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at H24. I've been tweeting a little bit more than I usually do recently. I've been trying out bringing back casual Twitter because it used to be pretty casual, and then I feel like slowly but surely, most people, if they're not or if people aren't verified, they were like, I shouldn't use Twitter. So I don't see enough people just tweeting out casually anymore. Let's bring it back. Make Twitter casual again. So anyway, I'm trying to do that. Tweeting out a little bit more. My Letterboxd is Aish. Go check that out. I've been trying to do a little bit more movie logging, and you know what? Maybe I'll quickly go and do the Matrix trilogy since I just watched those. And then look for me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Aish. I am bringing that back with some Halo streams pretty soon. I don't have an exact timeline on that, but I'm hoping sometime in the next 2 weeks I can get that all reset up since it has been pretty much dismantled since I stopped streaming. So got to do that again. I'm going to kick it over to my streaming buddy Ty, the future face of Twitch.
What's going on? I do Twitch. I do have a schedule up most of the time. It's Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So come hang out. It's a good time. Don't have to sub. If you got a free sub from Amazon, that's always fun, but you don't have to. I just like to hang out, play with the boys. Sometimes we open Pokemon cards up there. So that is twitch.tv/Eltrabajo87, ELTRABAJO87. And Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter, all Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES. The channel.
What up, guys and girls, you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at NSGingrich. I log every movie or every new movie I watch on Letterboxd. I don't rate them, but I do keep them up there. So if you're ever curious what I've been watching recently or anything like that, check that out, and you will be able to see all that stuff early. Bit of sizzle. And then also Instagram, Nathaniel G92. You can find me on there as well. Sandpiper Tapes, my other podcast. With that being said, Adam, get us on out of here.
One last question for you guys. I'm trying to see. We're running long on time here. So if you're still listening, you have no idea how much I appreciate you listening. You're my favorite kind of listener. But really quick, what do you guys think our longest episode so far has been?
It's got to be
taking another little retrospective.
This has got to be up there. Hereditary is probably up there.
What is number one? I mean, I need a guess here. And I don't know if any of you guys are going to get it.
The Shining.
The Shining? Okay. Nathaniel?
I say this, Hereditary, or... What do we have a lot of thoughts on? I don't know. That's all I could think of.
I don't think y'all are going to get it. Nathaniel?
Maybe like I don't know. It's gonna be something like random, like Kill Bill or something.
Yeah,
like
I
that,
know.
Where we just went in The Notebook.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, it's gonna be The Notebook.
Those are both good guesses. No, our longest review clocks in at 2 hours, Let me find it. Sorry. 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 44 seconds. It is in fact F9.
Well, there you go.
So there you have it.
For the family.
This is our last episode of 2021. It's been
That's
a great
true.
year. Can't wait for the next one. We are very excited to keep going with this. So thank you all for listening. Like I said, especially if you made it this far. Join us next week for Pig, and we'll BRB.
Hey, everyone, if you were with us for all of 2021, or even parts of it, just thanks for listening. Thanks for listening this far into the episode again, and we appreciate all of you. Be excellent to each other, guys, and we will BRB.
Hope you had a great Christmas with your family. Hope you have a great New Year and you guys are safe and responsible and all that good stuff. If you got an Uber, call an Uber. And just stay close with who you got with you and have a great New Year. Bring that shit in. And we'll BRB.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support as always. Happy holidays, everyone, and stay safe. We'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
But yeah, dude, Christmas was cool. Got to see some fam, eat some food. I got 2 little cousins. I was able to kind of provide them with gifts. That's like the highlight of my Christmas is like giving stuff to little kids.
Yeah.
Giving stuff to adults is cool, but it's like
the kids are like that's their world.
Yeah, for sure.
That's everything to them.
Yeah, they're 6 and 2, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Or 7 and 3. I'm terrible with ages, but yeah. So obviously they're big on it. So that was cool. How about you guys?
I had a good time.
Go.
Cool. You went down to visit your mom, right?
Yeah, drove down. I got in there about 3, so that wasn't too bad. And then we just kind of went like straight into the gift exchange.
Did you drive there Christmas Day? Or
Yeah. No, I drove there Christmas Day. I worked Christmas Eve. Woke up, kind of took it easy for the first part of the day, and just kind of cruised on down there. The roads were actually fine. There's like no one around.
No traffic.
Yeah. And luckily it wasn't too bad that day, but man, I paid for it today. Like all that good karma.
Oh, you drove home today?
Dude, yeah.
Oh, it sucked.
Me and my brother left at like 8 and he was caravanning behind me, man. It was just one of the most stressful drives I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah, I could imagine.
When did you start getting hit with snow?
Right around like Champaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all rain up to that, and then like right afterwards it was just like straight snow, and then it just got heavier and heavier. I thought it was going to be like, because I was tracking it this morning, I thought it was going to be like one of those kind of just like bitter cold kind of some blow snows, and it was just not that at all.
Not that it was going to stick.
Yeah. So it was just crazy for a bit. Once we got on the toll roads, they were a lot better plowed, and that was a lot easier, but it was just nuts.
Yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking. How long did it take?
It's supposed to take about 4 or 4.5. It took us about 5 in total. It really added like an extra hour on, just like we got really lucky though. There's a lot of spinouts we saw, but luckily it didn't look like anyone was too like serious or hurt or anything like that. Luckily there wasn't any no like really bad accident that like blocked up everything or something like that too, or everything. So ended up all right.
That's good.
Ty, what about you? You have kind of a marathon Christmas with all the families that you gotta go see and everything, right?
Sure do.
Is it local?
But yeah, I mean for the most part. Right. We have the furthest drive we have is from here to Woodstock.
Oh, okay.
Which is about, 30 minutes, 45 minutes if we're going to Leah's parents. So, But yeah, it was good. Just lots of running around and all that shit. But we definitely got to everybody, and it was good. We had a lot of fun.
That's good, man.
So food and family.
I had a COVID Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you were telling me that on Christmas Eve.
Whoa, what
Yeah,
happened,
The
dude?
asshole shopping on Christmas Eve.
You were the asshole shopping on Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
That was
for
so
sure.
funny. Came in his sweatpants. I was like, Blake? But yeah, my sister's one of her best friends tested positive 2 days before Christmas. 2 or 3 days before Christmas or Christmas Eve. And so she got tested right away. Was negative on the rapid results. My mom got tested too, both negative, but then woke up. I don't know if it was later that night or woke up the next morning, and could feel the symptoms. So she got tested again, and it was positive.
Damn.
So I think that was the day of or the day before. I think that might have been Christmas Eve or the day before. So
this was both your sister and your mom?
my mom, so that was my sister. She tested positive. I think it was on the day before Christmas Eve. And then Christmas was canceled, because we had my dad's family over here pretty much every year, have for a while.
For sure.
And so, we sent out the texts and messages. So everyone went away, said, oh, okay, we'll stay away from that place wisely. And then my brothers ended up going, they were going to come and then stay and like sleep over with both of their girlfriends. There was going to be everybody here. For Christmas Eve onto Christmas Day, and we're going to spend the whole day together. They ended up going to their respective girlfriends' families in Wisconsin and Michigan instead. So that was fun for them. And I just chilled. My mom woke up Christmas Day and started feeling symptoms because now I'm remembering a little bit better. Sister, I think it was tested positive on the 23rd. My mom wasn't feeling great and got retested on Christmas Eve. And tested negative on the rapid results, and then woke up Christmas morning and could feel symptoms, and so that's when we kind of knew she had it as well.
Damn.
So it was just another Saturday for me. Unfortunately, Christmas wasn't really much of a thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
So relax, play some Halo. I'll get to what we're watching, obviously, but me and my dad kind of started plowing through the Matrix trilogy because we had nothing better to do. The best Christmas movie, The Matrix.
Always.
And yeah, always. So we did that, and kind of just everyone's been quarantined. I've been just playing a lot of Halo, watching stuff, kind of just chilling. And then we're gonna try to do Christmas with the whole family again. The plan was New Year's Day, but it just depends on when my mom and my sister stop showing symptoms. My sister's down to like a light cough. But is feeling better overall. And my mom has been feeling pretty crappy the last 3 days. It's gotten slightly better from what I can tell, but she's still pretty tired and still has symptoms. So, but it hasn't gotten worse, which is the good thing. So hopefully she will come back around pretty soon. But yeah, it's been an interesting week, that's for sure.
Sure. Sounds like it.
It hasn't been fun, but really nothing anyone can do about it, including myself. So I've just kind of been living with it, vibing.
Very stoic of you.
What else can you do? At this point, it's almost 2 years into this thing.
It's true.
So
it's true.
Yeah, crazy.
Kind of used to it at this point, and who knows when it's gonna end because this Omicron shit is spreading faster than a wildfire. So who knows? Happy holidays.